Chapter 571. The axe-wielding tree king flipped his right hand and a black copper lamp appeared in his hand. Currently, he was severely injured. It was not advisable for him to fight Ning Fan directly in case his injuries worsened. Thus, he decided to use his magic treasure to kill Ning Fan. The body of the copper lamp was in the shape of a tree. There were 7 copper saucers on the branches. Among the 7 saucers, only 4 of them still had a few drops of lamp oil. The other 3 saucers were completely empty. The axe-wielding tree king activated his magic power. Among the 4 saucers that still had lamp oil, the wick of the first saucer immediately lit up with a dark red flame. The first lamp, scarlet lamp, ignite. Ning Fan's eyes fell upon the dark red flame and his expression instantly turned solemn. At the moment when the copper lamp was ignited, Ning Fan's heart suddenly felt a sense of danger. Without hesitation, he retreated 100 steps. Under the moonlight, his black robes fluttered in the wind, making him look like a fluttering black butterfly. Just as he retreated, a huge crack suddenly appeared where he was standing just now. What was hidden under the crack was the heavenly dwelling space of the copper lamp. Suddenly, pairs of gigantic hands reached out from the crack and tore it open. The crack became bigger and bigger. From the crack, the shadows of gigantic ghosts that were tens of thousands of zhang tall walked out with loud rumbling sounds. 24 of them. There was a total of 24 gigantic ghosts. Each of them had a void glimpse stage cultivation base. They lined up in a row in the night sky. Their ghostly chi was dense and terrifying. This is the ghost illumination technique. Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. He had seen through the copper lamp. He had been cultivating the devil path for many years. He had heard of many secret techniques of the devil path and he had also heard of the ghost illumination technique. However, he had never seen it with his own eyes. The gigantic ghosts in front of him were not real ghosts. They were shadows that were illuminated by the lamp. Each of the 7 saucers of the copper lamp contained a heavenly dwelling space that contained numerous ghost shadows. These ghost shadows were refined using a secret technique. Each of them could only be refined by killing countless cultivators. After the ghost shadows were refined, they would be kept in the saucers. When the wick of the lamp was lit, the flickering ghost shadows would be reflected. The lamp oil that was ignited in the saucers was the oil from the human body. Each drop of the lamp oil was refined by killing countless cultivators and extracting the oil from the dead bodies. Each and every one of these ghostly shadows had an extremely strong cultivation base. Moreover, they did not have a physical body. They were just shadows illuminated by the lamp. As long as the lamp was not extinguished, the ghostly shadows would not perish. There were only 4 light saucers with oil left in them. When the first light saucer was lit up, 24 void glimpse stage ghosts appeared. If the axe-wielding tree king continued to light up the lamp, it would definitely light up more ghosts. Ning Fan's eyes darkened. He suddenly raised his right hand and pointed at the 24 gigantic ghosts in the night sky. Although it was just a finger, it contained an unimaginable sword radiance. It was the lesser void sword art. In the dark night sky, millions of void sword lights instantly appeared and swept across the night sky like rainbows. Millions of swords flew towards the ghostly figure, with the power to shatter the void. Currently, Ning Fan unleashed his full strength. His cultivation base was close to the origin returning absolute void stage. The small void sword he displayed was enough to kill ordinary absolute void stage experts. Each of the 24 gigantic ghost shadows was at the void glimpse stage. In the eyes of cultivators of the absolute void stage, a void glimpse stage cultivator could exterminate them with a raise of their hand. One after another, the gigantic void glimpse stage ghosts were cut into pieces by the lesser void sword. All of them perished, but not a single piece of flesh and blood was left behind. The sword light dispersed. The night sky was filled with dense ghost chi. The atmosphere was extremely strange. The axe-wielding tree king's eyes flashed with surprise. Then he revealed a cold smile. What a powerful void sword art. Unfortunately, the power of this sword art is still not enough to kill my ghost shadows. This treasure of mine is called the 7 Life Lantern. It is the defining treasure of my Ghostwood clan. Its power is far beyond your imagination. Condense. The axe-wielding Tree King struck out a magic seal towards the copper lamp in his hand. The light on the first light saucer became brighter. The ghost chi that filled the night sky instantly condensed into gigantic void glimpse stage ghosts. Ning Fan frowned. These ghosts were much harder to kill than he had imagined. At this moment, the axe-wielding Tree King's face suddenly turned pale. His life force was constantly slipping away. His body seemed like it was about to decay, but his aura force was becoming more and more terrifying. It was an aura of magic power that had experienced the vicissitudes of life. It was as if tens of thousands of years were flowing in his body. That aura of magic power was definitely not something that the magic power of 60 years could compare with. That was the magic power of Yuan Hui. Yuan Hui was 129,600 years, which was 2,160 years. The aura of Yuan Hui's magic power was far thicker than the magic power of 60 years. The destructive power of the magic techniques he used was also far beyond that of 60 years. Even though Ning Fan had also fought against Void Fragmentation Realm experts in the past, he had never had such a clear sense of Yuan Hui's magic power before due to his limited cultivation base. Only when one's magic power returned to their primordial state could they break through the bottleneck of the Void Fragmentation Realm. Yuan Hui in 60 years were not different in terms of quantity but in terms of quality. The second lamp, green lamp, light. The axe-wielding Tree King channeled all of his magic power into the second light saucer. The wick of the lamp immediately lit up with a green flame. At this moment, the night sky cracked open for the second time. 12 gigantic ghost shadows crawled out from the crack. Each of these 12 gigantic ghosts was at the Void Inquiry stage. Kill him. Under the command of the axe-wielding Tree King, the 24 Void Glimpse stage giant ghosts and the 12 Void Inquiry stage giant ghosts stepped across the vast sky and surrounded Ning Fan. Ning Fan raised his finger and slashed out the minor void sword. 1,000,000 rays of sword light swept across the sky, killing all 36 gigantic ghosts. However, as the light of the lamp flickered, the 36 gigantic ghosts regathered and reappeared in an instant. Then, they waved their fists and attacked Ning Fan again. Ning Fan's body was surrounded by void sword light. Every time he waved his hand, 1,000,000 rays of sword light would appear. They could easily crush the ghost shadows, but they could not kill them completely. Even though those ghost shadows could not be killed, they were not strong enough to hurt Ning Fan. The axe-wielding Tree King frowned and his eyes flashed with a hint of gloominess. His black hair turned white and his face began to age. Just now, he still looked like a burly man, but in the blink of an eye, he had turned into an old man. He had paid a huge price just to light up the third light saucer. The Ghostwood clan had 7 life lamps. The scarlet lamp was the first lamp and the green lamp was the second lamp. The further the light was, the more powerful the ghost shadows would be. With the axe-wielding Tree King's cultivation base, he could only light up the 4th lamp at most. Moreover, from the 3rd lamp onwards, he would need to pay a huge price to light up each lamp. The 3rd lamp, golden lamp, light. As the 3rd light saucer was lit up, the 3rd crack of the heavenly dwelling appeared in the night sky and 7 void-pierced stage giant ghosts crawled out of it. When the 7 void-pierced stage giant ghosts joined the battle, Ning Fan's pressure immediately increased tremendously. Facing the 36 Void Glimpse stage and Void Inquiry stage giant ghosts, Ning Fan could still deal with them with ease. Even though he could not kill those ghost shadows, he would not get hurt from the clash of fists and sword light. However, when the 7 Void-pierced stage giant ghosts joined the battle, the situation began to change. After all, Ning Fan was just one person while his opponents were 43 unkillable giant ghosts. Each time he attacked, he could only send out 1,000,000 rays of void sword light. It was not enough to kill all the ghosts, and he still had to divert some of his strength to block the attacks of the giant ghosts. The 36 Void Glimpse stage and Void Inquiry stage giant ghosts used their bodies as meat shields to resist all of Ning Fan's sword light. The 7 Void-pierced stage giant ghosts stepped on the broken limbs of the group of ghosts and swung their fists at Ning Fan's chest. Boom boom boom. With the strength of Ning Fan's physical body, he would inevitably suffer some injuries if he withstood the attacks of 7 Void Pierce stage experts. Fortunately, the moment his chest was hit, Ning Fan's body turned into a black shadow and dissipated, allowing him to avoid the 7 Void Pierce stage fist lights. Ning Fan's eyes turned grim. The 7 life lamps of the Ghost Eye clan were indeed a little difficult to deal with. He had just lit up the 3rd light dish, and he had already summoned a Void Pierce stage ghost shadow that he could not kill. Based on this, the 4th light dish might be in Great Void Ghost Shadow. It seemed like the axe-wielding Tree King could not light up the 5th, 6th, and 7th light dish. If he could light them up, perhaps he would be able to summon Void Fragmentation Realm ghost shadows with just these 7 lights. I can't drag this any longer. If this person lights up the 4th light dish and summons an Great Void Ghost Shadow, even I will have to retreat. Perhaps only the Void Ignition technique can eliminate this ghost shadow. However, if it's just the Void Ignition flame from the 3rd flap of the butterfly wings, I'm afraid it won't be enough to eliminate this ghost shadow. Ning Fan's mind raced. All of a sudden, he turned into a black shadow and dispersed. He avoided the attacks of the ghost shadows and flew towards the axe-wielding Tree King. The axe-wielding Tree King was slightly shocked. Ning Fan, who had turned into a black shadow, actually gave him a sense of danger. He inwardly guessed that Ning Fan was about to display a powerful ability when his incarnation was disintegrating and condensing. His eyes turned cold. He suddenly bit the tip of his tongue and spurted out a few mouthfuls of blood essence towards the 7 life lamps. After spurting out a few mouthfuls of blood essence, his chi, which was already severely injured, became even weaker. The blood essence landed on the 7 life lamps and seeped into them. All of a sudden, the 4th light dish was lit up. It was burning with a black flame. The 4th lamp, black lamp, light. At the moment when the 4th lamp was lit up, the 4th heavenly dwelling crack suddenly appeared in front of the axe-wielding Tree King. 4 great void ghosts crawled out from it. As soon as the 4 ghosts appeared, they immediately waved their fists at the black shadows that filled the sky. The combined attack of the 4 great void ghosts was not any weaker than the primordial returning attack. Even Ning Fan, who was in his black shadow form, did not dare to take the punches of the 4 ghosts head-on. The black shadow hurriedly condensed and turned into the figure of a black-robed young man. He avoided the 4 punches but could not get close to the axe-wielding Tree King. The axe-wielding Tree King sneered. He had already lit up the 4 light dishes and summoned so many ghost shadows. There were 24 Void Glimpse stage ghosts, 12 Void Inquiry stage ghosts, 7 Void Pierce stage ghosts, and 4 Absolute Void stage ghosts. There was a total of 47 Void Refinement Realm ghost shadows. Moreover, these ghost shadows could not be eliminated. Any primordial returning void stage expert would not be able to escape death if they were to be besieged by so many ghost shadows. At this moment, the axe-wielding Tree King did not doubt that these ghosts could kill Ning Fan. The only thing he was worried about was that Ning Fan would run away in fear after seeing how powerful these ghosts were. He secretly released his magic power and performed the palm-opening heavenly dwelling technique, sealing off the vast sky within hundreds of thousands of li, not giving Ning Fan any chance to escape. This young man's abilities are not weak. However, he can't do anything to the ghost shadows of my Ghostwood clan. He will die for sure. Ghosts, listen to my command. Kill him. The 47 giant ghosts heard his command and let out a thunderous roar. The 4 great void stage ghosts occupied 4 sides of Ning Fan and attacked him from all directions. The 36 Void Glimpse stage and Void Inquiry stage ghosts approached Ning Fan fearlessly, creating a gap for the 7 Void Pierce stage ghosts to attack him. Under the attacks of the ghosts, Ning Fan's black shadow was shattered and reformed again and again. After the 4 great void stage ghosts joined the battle, the destruction of his black shadow was no longer enough to offset all the damage. Injuries began to appear on Ning Fan's body. He summoned his primordial lightning armor. With its terrifying defense, he was barely able to withstand the attacks of the ghosts. Even though the primordial lightning armor was already at the peak of the golden armor realm, its defense against the attacks of the great void stage Gue primordial origin returning void stage gradually cracked under the attacks of the ghosts. The vast sky in all directions was locked down. There was no way for him to escape. The 4 great void stage ghosts were guarding the 4 sides of the battlefield. They could not get out of the battle circle of the ghosts. Ning Fan took a deep breath. He knew that if he does not use forceful methods to truly kill these ghosts, he would not be able to defeat the axe-wielding Tree King. Both the weapon Incineration Finger and the steel technique of Sun and Moon were very powerful. However, they were not abilities that could kill the ghosts. The small void sword could slash the void. However, its usage of the void was obviously not as good as the void ignition technique. In the end, I still have to use the void ignition technique. Ning Fan raised his finger and pointed at the void sword shadows, causing the ghosts to retreat slightly. All of a sudden, he steadied his footsteps and black flames flashed in his eyes. A massive black flame formation diagram suddenly appeared beneath his feet. Countless black fiery butterflies appeared in the night sky. The 3rd fan isn't enough to kill the ghosts. I wonder if I can use the 4th fan. Ning Fan was not confident that he could use the 4th fan. When he fought against Yun Daoku, he had yet to reach the void glimpse stage. Thus, he could not use the 4th fan of the butterfly flames. When he fought against Bone Sovereign, he had just attained the void glimpse stage. Similarly, he could not use the 4th fan of the butterfly flames. Now that he was already at the void inquiry stage, his understanding of the void had become much deeper. After using the 2 great abilities of his incarnation and soul extraction, his cultivation base was infinitely close to the origin returning great void stage. If he uses the 4th fan of the butterfly flames with his current cultivation base, he probably would not be turned into ashes by the backlash of the butterfly flames. However, he would most likely suffer severe injuries. The origin returning great void stage is indeed powerful. With my current abilities, I can only kill the origin returning great void stage by giving it my all and risking serious injuries. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with determination and he performed a hand seal. At this moment, the millions of black fiery butterflies burned their wings and condensed into a massive fiery butterfly. That fiery butterfly was too massive. Its pair of black fiery butterfly wings was enough to cover the entire night sky. As soon as the fiery butterfly appeared, the axe-wielding Tree King's body began to tremble uncontrollably. What magic technique is this? Why does it give me such a strong sense of danger? After all, he was a cultivator of the origin returning great void stage who rarely had a match for him below the void fragmentation realm. He had also been attacked by an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm in the past. However, even when facing an old monster at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, he had never felt such a strong sense of danger. He had already reached the origin returning great void stage. The difference between him and a void fragmentation realm cultivator was no longer the difference in quality but the difference in magic power. However, what he sensed from the black fiery butterfly was clearly the difference in quality and the difference in cultivation base. This void ignition technique still had flaws. It was not perfect. Even so, it was already infinitely close to an immortal technique. Facing the void ignition technique, even Yun Daoke felt afraid, let alone the axe-wielding Tree King who was just a cultivator of the origin returning great void stage. Kill him. Don't let him use this technique. Even if it means self-destruction, we must kill him. The axe-wielding Tree King ordered anxiously. The self-destruction of the ghost shadows was to let them self-detonate and use the force of their self-destruction to injure Ning Fan. The ghost shadows could not be killed using ordinary methods. However, if they self-detonate, they would still die. In the future, if the axe-wielding Tree King still wants to use the 7 life lamps, he would have to kill more people and refine more ghosts. The axe-wielding Tree King felt a sense of impending doom from the fiery butterfly. He wanted to stop Ning Fan from using the technique at all costs. 12 void glimpse stage giant ghosts strode forward. All of a sudden, their self-ignited ghost shadows exploded in front of Ning Fan. 6 void inquiry stage giant ghosts dashed towards Ning Fan fearlessly and self-detonated all of a sudden. 3 void pierce stage giant ghosts were engulfed in ghost flames and detonated themselves in front of Ning Fan. Even an absolute void stage cultivator would not dare to face the self-destruction of 3 void pierce stage experts head-on. 2 of the absolute void stage giant ghosts wore cold expressions. They suddenly performed hand seals on Ning Fan's left and right, detonating their ghost shadows. The self-destruction of 2 absolute void stage experts was enough to severely injure even the origin-returning great void stage cultivator. Boom boom boom. Ning Fan was at the center of the self-destruction. The black shadows were scattered by the self-destruction of the group of ghosts. The black shadows condensed again. Ning Fan's injuries were extremely severe and he was barely breathing. However, his eyes were as cold as a stone, unaffected by anything. If he was determined to burn his wings into ashes, he would not allow anyone to extinguish his flames. Void ignition. He uttered these 2 words indifferently and his hand seals suddenly changed. The gigantic fiery butterfly that covered the night sky immediately flapped its wings towards the axe-wielding Tree King. With the first flap, the remaining 12 void glimpse stage giant ghosts turned into ashes. With the second flap, the remaining 6 void inquiry stage giant ghosts turned into ashes. With the third flap, the remaining 4 void pierce stage giant ghosts turned into ashes. The fourth flap. Ning Fan felt that his physical body was about to collapse, and he was about to be buried in the butterfly flame. The level of the void ignition technique was too high. It was infinitely close to an immortal technique. With his current cultivation base, it was still not enough for him to perfectly display the fourth flap of the butterfly flame. However, he was no longer the same as before. His cultivation base had improved and his comprehension of the word, void, had also improved. Moreover, he had cultivated the minor 5 elements physique, which gave him a certain level of defense against fire techniques. Even if he forcefully uses the fourth flap of the butterfly flame, he would not be burned to ashes by the backlash of the flame. All of his internal organs were ignited. His immortal veins were burning and his primordial spirit was burning. Ning Fan's injuries worsened. His face was extremely pale but his eyes were filled with ruthlessness. Void ignition. At this moment, Ning Fan's entire body was engulfed in black flames. When he used the butterfly flame to burn his enemies, he himself was also engulfed in flames. At this moment, the giant butterfly flapped its wings for the 4th time. An unimaginable might of void flames turned into black smoke and swept towards the axe-wielding Tree King. The 2 giant ghosts of the great void realm that were protecting him were directly turned into ashes by the butterfly flame. The axe-wielding Tree King with a cultivation base at the primordial return realm did not even have the time to escape from the 4th flap of the butterfly flame. His old physical body was instantly turned into ashes and dissipated. If he was in his peak state, he could still escape from the attack of the butterfly flame while sustaining severe injuries. However, he was severely injured by the burning weapon finger and the backlash from forcefully igniting the 4 light dishes was not light. How could he withstand the destructive power of the butterfly flame? Amidst the screams, the Tree King's primordial spirit was filled with fear. He picked up the 7 lives lamps and tried to flee. Even though he was a member of the Ghostwood clan, he was not a tree demon. Instead, he was a wood element devil cultivator of the human race who cultivated the tree devil technique. At this moment he was afraid. Theoretically, no void inquiry stage cultivator could defeat the primordial return realm cultivator. The gap between the primordial return realm and the primordial return realm was already an insurmountable gap. However, Ning Fan could not be judged by common sense. The axe-wielding Tree King was scared silly by the void ignition technique. He could already tell that this technique was a divine ability that was infinitely close to an immortal technique. This technique is infinitely close to an immortal technique. If this young man can fully display this technique, he can even put up a fight against a rogue immortal. This young man can't be defeated by force. I'm not his match. I must run. While he was running away in a panic, Ning Fan raised his hand and pointed at the air. With just a single point, dense blood lines spread out from the Tree King's primordial spirit, fixing it in the night sky. You won't be able to escape. Ning Fan raised his hand and sucked the Tree King's primordial spirit into his palm. He planted a dense restriction on it and sealed it. Then he temporarily kept it in his storage pouch along with the 7 lives lamps. In the night sky far away, 5 sword spirits used their sword silk to tie up a weak primordial spirit and brought it back. That primordial spirit was none other than the blowing snail Tree King. Under the combined efforts of the 5 sword spirits, they also eliminated the blowing snail Tree King. However, the process of the battle was not easy. The 4 sword spirits were slightly injured. As for the 5th sword spirit, his entire body was covered in blood. His body was extremely illusory, as if it was about to disappear. Little Fan Fan, quickly save Tong Tong. Tong Tong's injuries are too severe. He's about to die. The 4 little sword spirits looked at Ning Fan with a pleading look. Especially the 1st sword spirit, Jing Jing. She looked at Ning Fan with teary eyes. She no longer had the arrogance she had before. Logically speaking, the combined strength of the 5 sword spirits should be above the blowing snail Tree King. However, the 5 of them were too conceited and underestimated their enemies. Jing Jing in particular was even more arrogant as the eldest sister. She did not take the Tree King seriously. Due to her carelessness, she was plotted against by the Tree King and almost died. If it wasn't for the 5th sword spirit, Tong Tong, who blocked the attack for her at the critical moment, the one who was severely injured would certainly not be Tong Tong but her. Tong Tong, I'm sorry. Please don't die. Jing Jing's eyes were filled with tears. The other 3 little girls were also crying their eyes out. Tong Tong's small face was extremely pale. Similarly, she could not stop her tears. Her body was in pain everywhere. She was so afraid of death. She did not want to die. Ning Fan took the primordial spirit of the blowing snail Tree King and sealed it. Then he kept it in his storage pouch. Raising his hand, he carefully held the heavily injured Tong Tong in his palm and sighed softly. Don't worry. You are my sword spirits. I won't let you die. Ning Fan's injuries were also severe, but he decided to treat the 5th sword spirit's injuries first. No matter how severe his injuries were, he could heal himself with the Black Star art. However, the body of the 5th sword spirit was extremely fragile. If I don't heal this little girl, it won't be long before her spirit body dissipates. Chapter 572. After all, the Tang Valley was surrounded by the tree demons. It was not suitable for him to recuperate in seclusion. Ning Fan carried the injured Tong Tong with his left hand. With a wave of his right hand, he displayed the void teleportation technique, sweeping up Qing Dai and the other sword spirits. Then, they turned into a wisp of smoke and drifted out of the Valley of Tang. Outside the Tang Valley, in a desolate and uninhabited valley, Ning Fan withdrew his traveling light and appeared in an ethereal manner. He opened up a simple cave abode on a mountain of trees and ordered Qing Dai and the 4 sword spirits to stand guard outside while he brought Tong Tong into the cave to heal her injuries. When the 4 sword spirits heard Ning Fan's order, all of them were stunned. Before this, the 4 sword spirits were not really loyal to Ning Fan. They had always disliked Ning Fan ordering them around. Now, in order to heal Tong Tong's injuries, the 4 sword spirits had to obey Ning Fan's orders. After hesitating for a while, they decided to obey Ning Fan's order and went to guard the entrance of the dwelling. You must cure Tong Tong. As long as you cure Tong Tong, Big Sister will listen to you from now on. I promise. Second sister will be obedient too. Third sister will be obedient too. Fourth sister will be obedient too. Xiao Fan Fan, you must cure Tong Tong. Ning Fan nodded with satisfaction after hearing the words of the 4 little girls. The reason why Ning Fan treated Tong Tong's injuries was because he wanted to be responsible for his own sword spirits. Another reason was that he wanted to ease the awkward relationship between him and the 5 sword spirits so that they would submit to him wholeheartedly. In the end, the life-death restriction was just a trick. When Qing Dai heard Ning Fan's order, she bit her lips and decided to follow his order to guard the entrance of the dwelling. She still could not completely believe that Ning Fan was the current tree sovereign. After all, the Blackwood token had been missing for many years. Now that it suddenly appeared in his hands, anyone would doubt the authenticity of this matter. However, Qing Dai could be sure of one thing. Ning Fan was genuinely trying to protect her and he did not have any evil intentions towards her. If it wasn't for her trespassing into the Tang Valley, Ning Fan wouldn't have to fight the two Tree Kings in a hurry. If Ning Fan entered the Valley of Tang alone, he would certainly use the heaven-deceiving cloak to conceal himself and launch a preemptive strike. He would assassinate one of the Tree Kings and then besiege another Tree King with the 5 sword spirits. This was the safest plan. Qing Dai had disrupted Ning Fan's plan, but he still saved her from the hands of the Tree King without any fear. After rescuing Qing Dai, he did not even plant any mental restriction or demon restriction on her. Qing Dai's combat ability was not high, but she was not stupid. All the signs were enough to prove that Ning Fan did not harbor any ill intentions towards her and that she could trust him. She was also not worried that Ning Fan would harbor evil intentions towards the Nether Luo clan. To put it bluntly, the Ming Luo clan had declined to become a second-rate force. Apart from Qing Dai, there was no other void-tempering cultivator in the clan. The Ming Luo clan was so weak. If Ning Fan really harbored evil intentions, there was no need for him to express his goodwill to Qing Dai at all. He could directly suppress the Ming Luo clan with his strength without using any cunning methods. Liu Bei is a trustworthy person. He said that he was entrusted by a friend to come and protect the Nether Civ clan. But there's one thing I don't understand. Who is the friend he mentioned? Ning Fan stepped into the cave dwelling and flicked his sleeve. A table, chair and bed immediately appeared in the empty cave dwelling. After placing the dying Tong Tong on the bed, Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out a few pill bottles and some flying swords of decent quality. He placed them on the jade table at the side. Her bright yellow shirt was torn in many places, and her plain little skirt was dyed red with blood. Her body was only the size of Ning Fan's thumb. Her small face was pale. The pain caused her to moan and cry incessantly. Ouch, ouch. Ning Fan looked at Tong Tong with pity. She was obviously a little stutterer and was very afraid of death, but she still went to save people. What a silly child. Sleep for a while. Ning Fan separated a trace of Yin plucking finger force and injected it into Tong Tong's body, causing her to fall asleep. After that, he took the pill bottles on the jade table, took out all the pills and poured them into a jade bowl. These pills were pills to increase the cultivation base of sword cultivators. To Tong Tong, they were the best healing pills. Tong Tong was a sword spirit. Her body was a spiritual body, which was very different from the body structure of a cultivator. Ordinary healing pills could not help her heal. The injuries she suffered were not flesh wounds, but the spiritual body of the sword spirit. Therefore, Ning Fan took out the sword cultivator pills to strengthen the spiritual body of the sword spirit for Tong Tong and help her heal. It was easy to say, but the process was not. Tong Tong's body was too small. It was impossible for her to swallow a whole pill. Therefore, Ning Fan needed to use other methods to help Tong Tong consume the pills. He put dozens of sword pills into the jade bowl and dissolved them with clear water. A trace of flame appeared between his fingers, warming the clear water. Then he lifted the unconscious Tong Tong up. With a point of his finger, Tong Tong's clothes turned into ashes and her petite body was placed into the jade bowl. To Tong Tong, this small jade bowl was a huge bath. And this bowl of clear water that was used to dissolve the pills was the best medicinal bath. The unconscious Tong Tong soaked in the jade bowl. The medicinal water seeped into her wounds, washing away the bloodstains. Her wounds slowly healed, making her moan in comfort. The painful expression on her small face was slightly reduced. Her small face was bright and clean, with a childish and innocent look. She was very cute. If she grew up to be a young lady, she would most likely be a beauty. At this moment, her naked body was soaking in the jade bowl. Ning Fan carefully looked at her face and naturally did not have the slightest desire. She was just a little person the size of a thumb. Who would have desire for her? Seeing that Tong Tong's complexion was gradually getting better, Ning Fan nodded his head in satisfaction. He picked up the flying swords on the jade table and exerted his palm force, shattering all of them. All of these flying swords possessed strong spiritual power. All of them were obtained from Guanghan City by Ning Fan. Even the lowest grade flying sword was at the Divine Transformation Realm. He shattered a total of 63 Divine Transformation Realm flying swords and 15 Mortal Void Realm flying swords. He refined the sword spirits of all the flying swords and threw them into the jade bowl for Tong Tong to consume to stabilize her spirit body. After absorbing the power of the pills and the sword spirits, the wounds on Tong Tong's body gradually healed and her spirit body gradually stabilized. However, her small face was still a little pale and weak. She probably still needed to soak in the jade bowl for a few more days to fully recover. Knowing that Tong Tong's injuries were no longer a problem, Ning Fan sent a voice transmission to Jingjing to take care of Tong Tong in the Immortal Cave while the others continued to guard the Immortal Cave. With a flash, he entered the dark golden pagoda of the Yuan Yao world. He summoned his natal black star and began to heal his injuries. After consuming a 6th revolution pill, he immediately sat down with his legs crossed to absorb the medicinal power. 3 days later, Tong Tong stretched her body and yawned comfortably. Then she woke up. 3 days in the outside world was equivalent to 1 year in the 7th floor of the dark golden pagoda. Ning Fan had also stabilized his injuries, but it was still very difficult for him to fully recover. The injuries caused by the giant ghost's attack were not difficult to heal. What was difficult to heal was the burning injury caused by the backlash of the void ignition technique. The burning injury affected the primordial spirit. The main injuries were on the primordial spirit, which was the foundation of a void refinement realm cultivator. If the physical body was destroyed, the cultivator could still survive if the primordial spirit was intact. If the physical body was intact but the primordial spirit was dead, the cultivator would be considered dead. After all, Ning Fan was not considered as the true primordial returning Taishu realm. He was just a void inquiry stage cultivator. Even if he used all kinds of methods, it was still too much for him to display the 4th flap of the butterfly flame. Unless my cultivation base improves further, I won't be able to perfectly display the 4th flap of the butterfly flame. This time, displaying the butterfly flame technique has damaged the foundation of my primordial spirit and consumed a lot of my life essence. I need to recuperate well. It's best if I can find a human cauldron and quickly replenish my lost life essence after plucking it. Plucking a high-grade human cauldron is more effective than consuming any healing pills. Even though I can put up a fight against the primordial returning Taishu realm, it's just a fight. With my current strength, it's still not enough to wipe out the entire primordial returning Taishu realm. Ning Fan exhaled a mouthful of murky qi. With a flash, he left the Yuan Yao world and returned to his cave dwelling in the outside world. At this moment, other than the injuries on his primordial spirit, the injuries on his immortal veins and internal organs had all healed. Tong Tong had already recovered. She stood respectfully on the jade table with the other 4 sword spirits, waiting for Ning Fan's return. Seeing Ning Fan fly out of the Yuan Yao world, the 5 sword spirits blushed and bowed to him respectfully. Big sister greets little Fan Fan. Second sister greets little Fan Fan. Third sister greets little Fan Fan. Fourth sister greets little Fan Fan. 5. Tong Tong is a little stutterer. She can't even finish her sentence. She wanted to say thank you for saving her. She is willing to marry you with her body. When the other sword spirits saw Tong Tong stuttering, they immediately teased her. As soon as she heard the joke of, "Marry me," Tong Tong's small face became even redder. She quickly waved her hands and denied it. No, it's not, the few little girls played around. Because Tong Tong's injuries were healed, each and every one of them was in a great mood. Ning Fan smiled faintly. After this incident, the 5 little girls had truly pledged their allegiance to him. This was very good. He glanced sideways at Qing Dai and suddenly asked with a smile, "I've killed the Tree King of Tang Valley. Now, I'm returning to Wui City to submit my mission and cross the Realm Gate to the Eastern Forest Sea. After going to the Eastern Forest Sea, I'll pay a visit to the underworld Civ clan. Do you want to follow me back to the Eastern Forest Sea? Or do you still want to stay in the North Tree Sea?" I'll follow you back to the Eastern Tree Sea. The reason why I left the Eastern Tree Sea was to retrieve the remains of the 10 Void Refinement Realm old ancestors. Halfway through her words, Qing Dai suddenly showed a hesitant expression. She looked at Ning Fan pleadingly and gritted her teeth. If I may be so bold, I would like to ask Senior Lu for a favor. The reason why she addressed him as Senior instead of the Tree Sovereign was because the identity of the Ming Luo Tree Sovereign was of great importance. It was impossible for her to recognize him as the Tree Sovereign just because he possessed the Blackwood token. How did Ning Fan obtain the Blackwood token? Who asked him to protect the underworld Net clan? She had to get to the bottom of these things. What's the matter? Ning Fan possessed the mind-reading technique. Naturally, he could see through Qing Dai's thoughts. He knew what she was thinking, but he did not expose her. He just looked at her with a faint smile. My lord has killed 2 Tree Kings and completed the 5 Stars mission alone. You can obtain 10 Void Glimpse stage Ming Luo puppets and 20 billion immortal jade from the king of Gomang country. Qing Dai has a presumptuous request. I'd like to purchase 10 Ming Luo puppets from you. After Qing Dai made her request, she immediately looked at Ning Fan nervously, afraid that he would reject her request. Ning Fan neither agreed nor rejected her request. His eyes swept across Qing Dai's body and asked, "Are you a puppet master?" Even though Qing Dai's strength is weak, I can be considered as one of the best in the entire Eastern Tree Sea. How is your puppet technique compared to the City Lord of Guanghan City? The City Lord of Guanghan City? Is it fellow Taoist Guanghanzi? Qing Dai was surprised. Then she said confidently, "My puppet technique is unique to my Ming Luo clan. Guanghanzi is not as good as me. However, I heard that Guanghanzi's master was an extremely powerful puppet master. However, he had already fallen a long time ago. If I'm compared to his master, I'm sure I'm not as good as him." "Oh? You seem to be very confident in your puppet technique. However, as far as I know, you don't even have a single Void Refinement Realm spiritual puppet in your storage pouch, do you? It seems like you only have 200 Divine Transformation Realm spiritual puppets." "Yes. I don't have any Void Refinement Realm spiritual puppets with me." Qing Dai sighed softly. With her puppet technique, it was not difficult for her to refine Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets. She could even refine Void Inquiry stage spiritual puppets. Her puppet technique was very advanced. She could almost be ranked among the top 3 in the entire Eastern Tree Sea. Unfortunately, the Ming Luo clan had already declined. It was already difficult for Qing Dai to break through to the Void Glimpse stage by sacrificing 100,000 members of her clan. They did not have the financial resources to refine Void Glimpse stage spiritual puppets for her at all. "Do you want these 10 spiritual puppets to increase your strength?" Ning Fan intentionally asked. That's not it. I just want to find my ancestors' remains and bury them in the illusory grave of my clan. This is the wish of countless members of my clan. They can't bear to see their ancestors' remains wandering outside." Qing Dai's eyes turned red when she thought of her clan members who had died for her. "I see. How about this? If you agree to one of my conditions, I will give you these 10 Ming Luo puppets. You can bring them back to your clan and bury them." "What condition?" Qing Dai's face turned red. She lowered her head and her eyes were filled with panic. In order to find her ancestors' remains, she would agree to whatever condition Ning Fan proposed as long as it would not harm the members of her clan. Even if Ning Fan proposed an outrageous condition to take her as his concubine, she would not have any complaints. "Don't worry. My condition will definitely not put you in a difficult position. I just want to borrow your puppet technique. Fine. I will tell you about it in the future. Now, let's return to Guanghan City first." What Ning Fan meant was for Qing Dai to help him repair his Void Fragmentation Realm spiritual puppets. Since her puppet technique was better than Guanghanzi's, the success rate of her repairing the puppets would naturally be higher. There was another reason why he proposed this condition. He wanted to give the Ming Luo puppets to Qing Dai in a justifiable manner. The reason why he competed for this mission was just to obtain the Ming Luo puppets and send them back to the Ming Luo clan for burial. Now Qing Dai had the same goal. She wanted to retrieve the Ming Luo puppets. If that was the case, Ning Fan was willing to give the puppets to her so that she could bring them back for burial. After all, Qing Dai was the real Ming Luo high priest while Ning Fan was just the Ming Luo tree sovereign in name. It would be more appropriate for Qing Dai to step forward. Let's go. Ning Fan kept the 5 sword spirits into his sword pouch. Then he flicked his sleeve and displayed his void teleportation technique, bringing Qing Dai back to Guanghan City. Guanghan City, Guanghan City. 3 days had passed since Ning Fan accepted the mission. In the main hall of the royal palace, the king of Gomang, Tang Xiong, was sitting quietly on his throne with his eyes closed. A gentle breeze blew past. Suddenly, Ning Fan and Qing Dai appeared in the main hall. Tang Xiong opened his eyes and glanced at both of them. Then, he said with a smile, "Fellow Taoist Lu, have you completed the mission?" What Tang Xiong said was just a guess. He could tell that Ning Fan was not someone who spoke empty words. Since Ning Fan declared that he would take the mission for himself, he naturally had the confidence to kill the 2 tree kings. 3 days ago, Ning Fan accepted the mission and left. Since he returned today, it might be because something unexpected happened to the mission and he had something to discuss with me. Perhaps Ning Fan had already completed the mission and he came back this time to hand in the mission and exchange for the reward. Tang Xiong glanced at Ning Fan's expression. When he saw Ning Fan's calm smile, it did not seem like something unexpected happened to the mission. Thus, the first thing he asked was whether Ning Fan had completed the mission. Even though he asked that question, Tang Xiong was muttering inwardly. He did not dare to believe that Ning Fan could complete the mission within 3 days. Ning Fan saw through Tang Xiong's thoughts with just a glance and said with a faint smile, "Fortunately, I didn't fail you." As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out 2 primordial spirits that were sealed tightly. They were the primordial spirits of the 2 tree kings. Ning Fan's reply was only 4 words. However, when these 4 words fell into Tang Xiong's ears, the latter's eyes widened in shock. It confirmed his previous guess. The dispirited and listless appearance of the 2 primordial spirits made Tang Xiong's breath stagnate. Those were the primordial spirits of 2 origin-returning realm cultivators. How could they be captured by Ning Fan so easily? In just 3 days, Ning Fan had actually killed 2 origin-returning realm tree kings and completed the mission. Fellow Taoist divine power is amazing. This old man is ashamed of his inferiority. I wonder how fellow Taoist killed the 2 tree kings? Tang Xiong stood up and exclaimed in admiration at Ning Fan. Is the process very important? Ning Fan revealed a faint smile. Ha! Fellow Taoist is right. The process is not important. What's important is the result. Fellow Taoist has captured the primordial spirits of the 2 tree kings. These primordial spirits naturally cannot be faked. If fellow Taoist completed this 5 stars mission alone, you will be rewarded with 10 Ming Luo puppets and 20 billion immortal jades. May I ask if fellow Taoist wants to claim the reward now? Ning Fan nodded. All right. If that's the case, fellow Taoist will follow me to the underground treasure vault of King City. All the mission rewards will be issued from there. The underground treasure vault of King City? Ning Fan asked in surprise. That's right. Since His Majesty the Bamboo Sovereign has issued a mission, he naturally needs to issue a corresponding reward. The total reward of all the missions is a considerable amount of wealth. It's enough to tempt void fragmentation realm old monsters. That treasure vault is guarded by the old ancestor of my Fusang clan. Without him, how can I guard such a large amount of heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures in the North Tree Sea, which is surrounded by wolves with my current cultivation base? Tang Xiong explained while taking out a token. He activated it towards the throne and the throne immediately turned into a shadow and disappeared, revealing a dark underground tunnel that led straight to the underground of King City. Ning Fan scanned the area with his spirit sense. There were no restrictions in the underground. There was nothing wrong with it. He could enter. At the bottom of the underground tunnel, there was a massive treasure vault. A gigantic Fusang tree was planted outside the vault. With Ning Fan's eyesight, he could naturally tell that the Fusang tree was not a tree but a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm tree demon. This person must be the Fusang old ancestor that Tang Xiong mentioned. He was in charge of guarding the treasure vault here. With this person around, no void fragmentation realm old monsters would dare to snatch the treasures in the vault no matter how great the rewards of the missions are. Are you fellow Taoist Lu who has completed the 5 stars mission? Fellow Taoist is so young. Your bone age is less than 900 years old, but you could actually kill 2 primordial void stage experts by yourself. When I was at your age, I was just a divine transformation realm cultivator. I'm ashamed. Outside the underground treasure vault, the gigantic Fusang tree flashed with light and turned into an elderly man in black robes. The elderly man's eyes were as deep as the ocean. His gaze met Ningfan's even though they were 1 million zhang underground. I'm the old ancestor of the Fusang clan. People call me Old Demon Fusang. Fellow Taoist Lu, please come to the underground for a chat. I have something to ask of you. The elderly man in black robes suddenly cupped his fists towards the ground and transmitted his voice to Ningfan. His expression actually carried a hint of pleading. Old Demon Fusang? Could it be that this senior is the 8th elder of the Bamboo Palace of the 8 Elders of the Bamboo Forest in the Eastern Tree Sea? Qing Dai's spirit sense was not weak. Naturally, she had also sensed the commotion underground. When she heard the words of the elderly man in black robes, she actually wore a shocked expression. The 8 Elders of the Bamboo Forest were the 8 Void Fragmentation Realm Elders who guarded the Bamboo Palace of the Eastern Tree Sea. Each of them had an extremely respectable status. How could someone with such a high status be so polite to Ningfan? Moreover, the first thing he said was that he had something to ask of Ningfan. Qing Dai was a little surprised. She had never thought that Ningfan was strong enough to make a void fragmentation realm expert treat him with respect. Ningfan frowned slightly. He scanned the elderly man in black robes underground with his spirit sense and seemed to have understood something. Does Senior have something to ask of me? If that's what you want, I'm afraid I can't help you with anything. Chapter 573. Tang Xiong transformed into a streak of light and flew underground. Ningfan's eyes were filled with contemplation. Moments later, he flicked his sleeve and disappeared from the palace with Qing Dai. In the next moment, the two of them appeared outside the treasury that was 3 million meters underground. The underground was extremely spacious, and there was a huge treasury there. The protective formation light of the treasury was not activated. Perhaps it was because old monster Fusang was here and there was no need to activate it. At this moment, Gomang monarch Tang Xiong was standing respectfully behind old monster Fusang. He had the attitude of a junior and no longer had the arrogance of a monarch. Old demon Fusang was dressed in a black robe. He stood with his hands behind his back. His white hair reached the ground, and his white eyebrows were white without a beard. His eyes narrowed and met with Ningfan's gaze. Then he quietly released his aura, covering the entire underground space. That was the aura force of a void fragmentation realm expert. All cultivators below the void fragmentation realm are ants. Ningfan did not avoid old demon Fusang's gaze at all. Instead, he looked him in the eye. An invisible aura spread out between the two of them. Tang Xiong was a great void stage cultivator, but under the pressure of the two's auras, he felt suffocated. After taking a few steps back, he felt that his breathing had become smoother. Qing Dai was just a void glimpse stage cultivator. How could she withstand the aura force of a void fragmentation realm expert? Her hands trembled slightly. This was the first time she felt the aura force of a void fragmentation realm old monster at such a close distance. Very strong, terrifyingly strong. In front of a void fragmentation cultivator, she was just an ant that couldn't even breathe. In his danton, the medicine soul was shivering. Within his head, his sea of consciousness was trembling and on the verge of collapse. She felt that it was getting harder and harder to breathe. She was almost blown away by old monster Fusang's aura. However, she had always been stubborn. She refused to yield in front of a void fragmentation realm old monster. She was not willing to retreat like Tang Xiong. We mustn't be afraid. My Ming Luo clan still has a void fragmentation realm enemy. His name is Wan Changkong and he is the strongest puppet master in the tree world. One day, I will represent the Ming Luo clan to take revenge on that Wan Changkong. If I'm afraid of the void fragmentation aura here, what qualifications do I have to stand in front of Wan Changkong? I can't be afraid. Qing Dai bit her lips and tried hard to suppress the panic in her heart. Her face gradually turned pale, as if her lungs were injured by the momentum. Even so, she did not want to retreat or escape. Being weak wasn't scary. What was scary was not having the determination to defeat the strong. Just as her demon soul was about to be injured by the void fragmentation realm aura force, a gentle voice entered her ears. Then, the void fragmentation realm aura force that oppressed her to the point where she found it hard to breathe slowly dissipated. Don't be afraid. Ning Fan turned around and smiled. He gently flicked his sleeves and clenched his 5 fingers, crushing the aura force that was suppressing Qing Dai. With Ning Fan's protection, Qing Dai's discomfort gradually disappeared. She said to Ning Fan with half gratitude and half apology. I'm sorry, it's all because of me. She knew that Ning Fan was secretly competing with old Demon Fusang in terms of aura force. She knew that because she refused to retreat, Ning Fan had no choice but to protect her. However, because Ning Fan took the initiative to attack, he was at a disadvantage in this battle of aura. Qing Dai blamed herself very much. If she had obediently retreated a little, Ning Fan would not have lost because of her. It's just a small matter, don't worry about it. Ning Fan smiled disapprovingly. He turned around and looked at old Demon Fusang again. To him, a victory or defeat that did not matter much was not worth worrying about. Little girl, you're not bad. Your aptitude might not be the best, but it's very commendable that you have a Dao heart that is not afraid of strong opponents. I didn't expect that the Ming Luo clan could still have such a descendant. It's really rare. More than 100,000 years ago, I was just a void-pierced stage cultivator. I could be considered as a good friend of the high priest of the Ming Luo clan. You're also considered as my junior. This jade slip was obtained by me in the past. Now, I'm giving it to you as a return to its rightful owner. Old Demon Fusang chuckled and gave Qing Dai a satisfied smile. He reached his hand into his sleeve and took out a damaged jade slip. He flicked his finger and tossed it to Qing Dai. Ning Fan waved his hand and stopped the jade slip on Qing Dai's behalf. He scanned the contents of the jade slip with his spirit sense and revealed a strange expression. Then he passed the jade slip to Qing Dai. This is a gift from Senior Fusang. Just accept it. Oh. Qing Dai nodded obediently. She received the jade slip and scanned it with her spirit sense. At first, she did not show any reaction. However, the more she read the contents of the jade slip, the more surprised she became. In the end, she actually bowed to old Demon Fusang with gratitude. Thank you for giving me this jade slip, Senior. This jade slip recorded dozens of lost secret techniques of the Ming Luo clan. Old Demon Fusang obtained them from the Ming Luo clan when he was young. At that time, he was the clan leader of the Ming Luo clan and had a good relationship with the Ming Luo clan. Both clans had given each other many secret techniques. During the calamity 10,000 years ago, not only did the experts of the Ming Luo clan die, but many of the clan's secret technique jade slips were also destroyed. Many of the secret techniques were lost. The jade slip that old Demon Fusang gave to Qing Dai was extremely significant to the Ming Luo clan. Qing Dai was naturally very grateful. You're welcome. The Ming Luo clan and the Ming Luo clan have been on good terms for generations. It's only natural for them to return the secret techniques. What he said was just for show. Perhaps when the Ming Luo clan was at its peak, the two clans were indeed on good terms. However, as the Ming Luo clan declined, the Ming Luo clan no longer maintained a good relationship with them. Otherwise, why would Tang Xiong use the 10 Ming Luo puppets as the reward for the mission? Why didn't he directly return the puppets to the Ming Luo clan? Otherwise, why didn't old Demon Fusang return the jade slip earlier or later? Why did he only return the jade slip after Ning Fan appeared? Ning Fan, of course, would not be intimidated by such polite words. He could tell that the reason why old Demon Fusang showed goodwill to Qing Dai and the Ming Luo clan was actually because of him. Old Demon Fusang has a favor to ask of me, Ning Fan thought to himself. It was human nature to flatter the strong and belittle the weak. There was nothing wrong with the Ming Luo clan not continuing to maintain a good relationship with the Ming Luo clan when the Ming Luo clan declined. In the cultivation world, the relationship between two clans was simply a matter of interests. If the forces of the two clans were not on the same level, they naturally would not have any interactions. Ning Fan did not have any prejudice against Old Demon Fusang. He was just very curious about what exactly the old demon needed his help with. If it's really what he guessed, he certainly could not help him. Fellow Taoist Lu killed 2 Guiyuan tree kings on your own. Such strength really surprised me. I heard from Tang Xiong that your baleful qi is extremely terrifying. Moreover, Tang Xiong felt that you have killed void fragmentation realm cultivators before. I wonder if I have the honor to witness your baleful qi? Old Demon Fusang's tone was very polite. Ning Fan thought to himself. It was impossible for a void fragmentation realm old monster to show goodwill to a void refinement realm cultivator for no reason. The reason why Old Demon Fusang was so polite to him was probably because he heard about Ning Fan's monstrous baleful qi from Tang Xiong. After that, when he saw that Ning Fan had really killed 2 tree kings and returned, he started to respect him and treated him as a peer. Moreover, he had something to ask of him. Ning Fan could not figure out Old Demon Fusang's thoughts. Thus, he avoided the topic of baleful qi and said with a smile, "Senior, you don't look too good." As soon as he heard Ning Fan's words, Old Demon Fusang's expression suddenly changed. Then, he revealed a bitter smile. "Fellow Taoist, you have a good eyesight. I'm sure you can tell that I don't have long to live. That's why I have something to ask of you. I can't help you with this matter. Life and death are determined by fate. It can't be forced." Ning Fan shook his head and said, "This is not what I'm asking for." Old Demon Fusang originally did not plan to ask Ning Fan for help with this matter. However, when he heard Ning Fan say, "Life and death are determined by fate," he still felt a little sad and sorrowful. Qing Dai wore a puzzled look. She did not know what the two of them were talking about. Tang Xiong, on the other hand, knew what the two of them were talking about. However, he did not interrupt them. "Oh, I wonder what Senior Fusang wants my help with. If it's within my capabilities, I can help you." Ning Fan was greatly surprised. He could tell that Old Demon Fusang was already a person who was on the verge of death. The reason why he was on the verge of death was because his lifespan had reached its end. Old Demon Fusang's bone age had already exceeded 110,000 years. It had long surpassed the upper limit of a void fragmentation realm cultivator's bone age. 100,000 years ago, Old Demon Fusang was already a void pierce stage cultivator. 100,000 years later, he was already at the end of his lifespan. However, his cultivation base was still at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. He no longer had the chance to become an immortal in this lifetime. At first, Ning Fan thought that what Old Demon Fusang wanted was related to extending his lifespan. That was why he said that he could not help him. Obviously, Old Demon Fusang had already consumed all the heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures that could extend his lifespan. His lifespan could no longer be prolonged. According to Ning Fan's estimation, Old Demon Fusang would definitely die after 10 years. Since Old Demon Fusang did not want to extend his lifespan, Ning Fan wondered what he wanted. "Sigh. The thing that I want is not a difficult thing for fellow Taoist. Moreover, it will be quite beneficial to fellow Taoist. Tang Xiong, go to the treasure vault and take out fellow Taoist Lu's reward." Old Demon Fusang asked Tang Xiong to take out the reward halfway through his sentence. It was obvious that he wanted to send Tang Xiong away. He did not want Tang Xiong to hear what he wanted to say after that. Ning Fan understood his intention and smiled at Qing Dai. "You go back to the palace first. I have something to discuss with Senior Fusang here." Qing Dai was not stupid. She knew that the matter that the two of them were talking about must be extremely important. She nodded obediently and returned to the palace on the ground alone. However, before she left, she secretly transmitted her voice to Ning Fan and reminded him, "Be careful. Don't anger Senior Fusang. Qing Dai was worried that Ning Fan would be too arrogant and say something that would anger old demon Fusang and get hurt by him. After all, when Ning Fan was competing for the mission, he acted like an emperor and did not allow anyone to take away his mission. It left a bad impression on Qing Dai. In Qing Dai's impression, Ning Fan sometimes liked to stir up trouble. Ning Fan could not help but chuckle and shake his head. He did not expect that Qing Dai would care about him and worry that he would be hurt by old demon Fusang. To be honest, when Ning Fan first saw old demon Fusang, he was not afraid of him at all, even though he was a void fragmentation realm cultivator. Old demon Fusang only had 10 years of lifespan left. If he dares to attack Ning Fan would only need to use the mutual death technique and sacrifice 100 years of his lifespan to take away all the remaining lifespan of old demon Fusang, killing him on the spot. His safety was not a problem. What he was more concerned about was what old demon Fusang wanted to say next. I have a request and I hope fellow Taoist can agree to it. After the unrelated people left, old demon Fusang suddenly cupped his fists and pleaded to Ning Fan seriously. In his entire life, he had been unscrupulous and killed people like scything flax. He had never asked anyone for help. If it was not related to the rise and fall of the Fusang clan, he would never lower his head to a junior. Senior, tell me about your request first. Ning Fan naturally would not agree to it without understanding the ins and outs of the matter. Old demon Fusang sighed deeply and said with a bitter smile, "Fellow Taoist, how many years do you think I can live?" 10 years at most. That's right. I only have 10 years left. After 10 years, I will definitely die. This is fate and it cannot be forced. I'm not afraid of death. I'm just afraid that after I die, the Fusang clan will gradually decline. Senior, you must be joking. Even after you pass away, the Fusang clan will still be a large clan in the tree world. Fellow Taoist Tang Xiong is the current clan leader of the Fusang clan. He is a dignified absolute void stage cultivator. How can a clan that has an absolute void stage cultivator decline? Ning Fan shook his head disapprovingly. The reason why the Ming Luo clan declined was because all the void refinement realm cultivators in the clan died during the calamity 10,000 years ago. The Fusang clan had an absolute void stage cultivator. Even if their void fragmentation realm old ancestor passes away, they would still be a large clan in the tree world. How could they decline? Fellow Taoist, you might not know this. Do you know what is my identity in the bamboo palace of the Eastern Tree Sea? I heard that Senior is one of the 8 elders of the bamboo forest in the Eastern Tree Sea. You're the 8th elder of the bamboo palace. Ning Fan answered. That's right. I'm the 8th elder of the bamboo palace. I'm a subordinate of the bamboo sovereign. The branch of the bamboo palace that I'm in charge of is called the evil bamboo palace. My lifespan is coming to an end. Before I die, I want to recommend you to the bamboo sovereign and let you become the 8th elder of the bamboo palace. What do you think? Senior, you must be joking. The elders of the bamboo palace are all void fragmentation realm cultivators. How can I become one of the 8 elders of the bamboo forest? Just as Ning Fan was about to decline the offer, he was interrupted by old demon Fusang. I heard that fellow Taoist is purchasing the divine tree fruits. I suppose it's to improve your intent realm cultivation base? Old demon Fusang suddenly changed the topic. Oh, Senior's information network is really fast. Ning Fan was stunned for a moment and then understood. Whatever he had bought in Bai City, he would not be able to hide it from old demon Fusang. Fellow Taoist Lu, may I ask what grade your intent realm is at? If the last 7 grades are enough, this old man won't say anything more. If fellow Taoist is pursuing 2nd grade or even 1st grade, then you must consider this old man's suggestion. I intend to recommend you as the 8th elder of the bamboo hall. If fellow Taoist can really pass the bamboo emperor's test and become the 8th elder of the bamboo palace, fellow Taoist will receive a great benefit. Becoming the 8th elder of the bamboo palace, you will receive many rewards, including 10 ancestral tree fruits. My eastern forest sea is rich in tree god fruit. The tree god fruit has the medicinal effect of raising one's intent level, but it can only raise a cultivator's intent level to the 3rd grade. After one's concepts reach the 3rd grade, Consuming the tree god fruit is useless. Only by consuming the tree ancestor fruit can one increase their concept's cultivation. If fellow Taoist comprehension realm reaches the 3rd grade, then after eating 10 ancestral tree fruits, your comprehension realm will break through to the 2nd grade. Ning Fan's expression was as calm as still water, but his heart was slightly moved. The tree ancestor fruit. If he wants to break through to the 1st grade of rain intent, this item is definitely a must. However, must he become the 8th elder of the bamboo palace in order to obtain the tree ancestor fruit? Chapter 574. At first, Ning Fan was moved. Then, his eyes gradually calmed down as if nothing had happened. With old demon Fu Sang's sharp eyes, he naturally noticed the subtle changes in Ning Fan's expression. He shook his head and sighed. Fellow Taoist, are you unwilling to be the 8th elder of the bamboo hall? May I ask Senior Fusang, why are you so insistent on making me the 8th elder of the bamboo palace? Ning Fan did not answer his question but asked a question instead. Old Monster Fusang sighed and explained. Fellow Taoist should know that this old man is the 8th elder of bamboo palace. I will die of old age in 10 years. Naturally, this 8th elder will have to be replaced. According to the rules of Bamboo Palace, the successor of an elder needs to be recommended by all the elders. After that, an assessment will be set up among the candidates and one of them will be chosen. To be honest, fellow Taoist, other than recommending fellow Taoist to take over the position of the 8th elder, I have also recommended 2 other people. Both of them are at the origin returning Great Void Realm and have a good relationship with the Fusang clan. I didn't recommend Tang Xiong even though he is a Great Void cultivator. That's because an ordinary Great Void stage cultivator would never be able to fight for the position of the 8th elder. I heard that your baleful aura was astonishing, so I guess that your abilities were definitely not weak. Then, I heard that you killed 2 Guiyuan Great Void Stage cultivators by yourself and completed the 5 stars mission. I immediately decided to give the last recommendation spot to you. Normally, only Void Fragmentation Realm cultivators could complete a 5-star mission. Fellow Taoist, there's no doubt about your strength since you were able to complete the 5-star mission and kill Guiyuan Taishu by yourself. Fellow Taoist, do you know how great the benefits of becoming the 8th elder are? Back then, when I became the 8th elder, I was only a Guiyuan Taishu. After I became the 8th elder, I received the full support of the Bamboo Hall. 1,000 years later, I successfully broke through to the Void Fragmentation Realm. With fellow Taoists' innate potential, if you succeed the position of the 8th elder, you will certainly receive the Bamboo Sovereign's full nurturing. In less than a few thousand years, you will certainly become another Void Fragmentation Realm expert. With such great benefits, why aren't you willing to succeed as the 8th elder? Ning Fan did not say a word. He just shook his head and chuckled. Old Demon Fu Sang was puzzled. After a while, Ning Fan suddenly retracted his smile and said solemnly, "The reason why Senior wants me to inherit the position of the 8th elder is exactly the reason why I am unwilling to do so." Old Monster Fu Sang was stunned and smiled bitterly. Among the candidates recommended by the other elders this time, one of them is only a step away from breaking through to the Void Fragmentation Realm. He is known as the #1 expert below the Void Fragmentation Realm in the Eastern Tree Sea. This person has the highest possibility of winning the position of the 8th elder. He is the patriarch of the Bai Li clan. Our Fu Sang clan and the Bai Li clan have a feud that will never end until one of us dies. Old Monster Fu Sang did not say anything else. Obviously, the reason why Old Demon Fu Sang hoped that Ning Fan would seize the position of the 8th elder was because he did not want the position to be taken away by the clan leader of the Bai Li clan. If clan leader Bai Li becomes the new 8th elder of the Bamboo Palace, he would certainly be able to attain the Void Fragmentation Realm one day. The day when the Bai Li clan gives birth to a Void Fragmentation Realm expert would be the day when the Fusang clan declines. The 2 clans had a feud that would never end until one of them perished. At that time, the Fusang clan would certainly do their best to suppress the Fusang clan. Old Monster Fusang was not far from death. He did not care about his own life and death. He only hoped that his family would not decline after his death. It would be fine if the candidate he recommended did not manage to obtain the position of an elder, but if he did, he would definitely offend the Bailey clan. It was fine if he offended the Bailey clan. After all, the current Bailey clan had yet to have a void fragmentation realm expert. However, one must know that the elder who recommended the clan leader of the Bailey clan to become an elder must have a close relationship with the Bailey clan. Offending the Bailey clan would also mean offending a void fragmentation realm elder whose cultivation base was unknown. The reason why Ning Fan was unwilling to get involved in the matters of the Fusang clan was just because he did not want to get into trouble. The position of the 8th elder could not tempt him because he would not stay in the tree world for too long. The bamboo palace's wholehearted nurturing was not attractive to him at all. As for one of the benefits of becoming the 8th elder, the ancestral tree fruit. Since this fruit was given to the new 8th elder by the bamboo palace, it naturally belonged to the bamboo palace. There must be a lot of ancestral tree fruits in the bamboo palace. With Ning Fan's means, he would definitely have a way to trade with the bamboo palace and get some ancestral tree fruits. There was no need for him to get into trouble and become the 8th elder. Ning Fan did not make it clear, but old demon Fusang had already guessed his intention. Forget it. Since fellow Taoist is unwilling to get involved in this trouble, just pretend that I have never mentioned this. I will give the 3rd recommendation to Tang Xiong so that he can compete for the position of the 8th elder. As for the result, it will all depend on the heaven's will. It cannot be forced. Old demon Fusang could not help but sigh. With his identity, it was already very rare for him to make a request to Ning Fan. If Ning Fan insisted on not following his request, he would not force him nor pester him. After all, he was a dignified void fragmentation realm old monster. He had his own dignity. Old demon Fusang's lips moved but no sound was heard. He transmitted a few words to someone far away. After 10 breaths, Tang Xiong came out from the treasure vault with a storage pouch in his hand. Obviously, he only dared to come out after receiving the message from the two of them. These are 10 Ming Luo puppets and 20 billion immortal jade. They are fellow Taoists' reward for completing the task. Why don't you check them and see if there are any mistakes? There is also a jade slip in the storage pouch. It is the jade slip of the realm passage to the realm gate of the Valley of Tang. You can use this jade slip to open the realm gate. Ning Fan took the storage pouch from Tang Xiong's hand and scanned it with his spirit sense. After confirming that there were no mistakes, he cupped his fists towards old demon Fusang and Tang Xiong. Farewell. Ning Fan turned around and was about to leave, but he was stopped by old demon Fusang. Fellow Taoist, please wait. What is it? I have some things here that I want to give to fellow Taoist. I want to form a good relationship with you. These things should be of some help to fellow Taoist. Old demon Fusang handed Ning Fan a storage pouch. Ning Fan scanned it with his spirit sense and found out that there were 10 billion immortal jade, 1,000 tree god fruits and the maps of the 3 seas of trees in the east, south and west. Other than that, there were also many rare spiritual ores and spiritual wood in the storage pouch. All of them were items that could be used to forge and repair puppets. Ning Fan fell into deep thought. It seems like old demon Fusang had investigated him thoroughly. From the things he bought in Bai City, he guessed that he wanted to repair his spiritual puppets. Indeed, the things that old demon Fusang gave Ning Fan were what he needed. Ning Fan also knew what it meant to accept this storage pouch. Fine. I will accept these things. If the Fusang clan is in trouble in the future, I will certainly lend a hand if it's within my capabilities. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he kept the storage pouch and bid farewell with his fists cupped. Accepting the storage pouch meant that he had accepted old demon Fusang's goodwill. With Ning Fan's personality, he would not accept someone's kindness for no reason. If he sees that the Fusang clan is in trouble in the future, it would be unavoidable for him to lend a hand. Old demon Fusang had a very accurate grasp of Ning Fan's personality. Seeing that Ning Fan had seen through his intentions and even made a promise to him, old demon Fusang wore a gratified expression. However, after Ning Fan left, he let out a long sigh. Old ancestor, why did you sigh? Tang Xiong asked in confusion. It's a pity. This Liu Bei has hidden his strength very well. If this kid accepts this old man's recommendation and obtains this old man's help, the chance of him seizing the position of the 8th elder will definitely not be small. Although he didn't reveal a trace of killing intent from the beginning to the end, this old man could still sense a trace of extreme danger from him. In front of him, this old man actually had an absurd illusion. If this kid had a disagreement with me just now, this kid would have the ability to kill this old man instantly. This feeling is so absurd, but it feels so real. What? This Liu Bei actually has a way to kill old ancestor instantly. Tang Xiong knew that old ancestor was never lying. Perhaps Ning Fan really had a way to kill old demon Fu Sang instantly. If this is really the case, isn't Ning Fan a little too scary? Ning Fan returned to the royal palace. With a flick of his sleeve, he displayed the void teleportation technique and disappeared from Bai City with Qing Dai. He traveled all the way to the east, passing through the Valley of Tang and headed towards the border of Gomeng country, the realm gate of the Valley of Tang. Ning Fan did not regret rejecting old demon Fu Sang's suggestion. He had his own matters to attend to. It was impossible for him to get involved in other people's troubles. It was already his limit to lend a helping hand when the Fu Sang clan was in trouble. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Ning Fan stopped and landed outside the realm gate of the Valley of Tang. This was the border between the northern forest sea and the eastern forest sea. A dark purple wall of light separated the two great forests from the middle. The bottom of the wall of light reached the netherworld underground and the top of the dome of heaven. It did not leave any gap for people to pass through. That dark purple light was the realm-breaking light. Even rogue immortals would only end up dead if they accidentally entered the realm-breaking light. On the wall of light was a 10,000 zhang tall door. The door was equipped with layers of restrictive formations. The formations themselves were not powerful, but they were closely connected to the realm-breaking light. Once someone trespasses the door, they would be attacked by the realm-breaking light. Those who are below the immortal realm will certainly die. Ning Fan took out the storage pouch that he had obtained from the mission and took out the Realm Passage's Rain World. Then he transferred 20 billion immortal jade to the storage pouch hanging on his waist. There were only 10 Void Glimpse stage Ming Luo puppets left in the storage pouch. They were refined from the corpses of 10 Void Refinement Realm old ancestors of the Ming Luo clan 10,000 years ago. Ning Fan passed the storage pouch to Qing Dai without saying anything. Qing Dai received the storage pouch. After taking a glance at it, her face immediately lit up with surprise. She said to Ning Fan gratefully, "Thank you, you're welcome. If I have something to ask of you in the future, just don't refuse me." Ning Fan said with a smile. Qing Dai nodded and replied, "Let's go." Ning Fan pressed the jade slip on the path of Broken World. A ray of purple light suddenly flew out from the slip and went into the giant door. The giant door shook violently and a small gap was opened. The ground trembled violently, raising a large amount of smoke and dust. At the moment when a small gap appeared on the giant door, Ning Fan flicked his sleeve. Together with Qing Dai, they turned into traces of smoke and drifted into the realm gate. As the traveling light faded, the two of them landed on a dark purple path of light. It was the realm gate that led to the eastern tree sea. After the two of them entered the realm gate, the giant door slowly closed. Follow this realm gate all the way. There is a teleportation formation at the end of the realm gate. It can teleport you to the boundary of the eastern tree sea. It was not Qing Dai's first time passing through the realm gate. You go first. I still have something to deal with. Ning Fan suddenly halted his footsteps. With a frown, he stopped walking on the realm gate. You have something to deal with? Then hurry up. I will wait for you at the eastern tree sea. Qing Dai was stunned. She did not know what Ning Fan meant. Her eyes were filled with confusion. She continued to walk forward and entered the teleportation formation at the end of the realm gate. After Qing Dai left, Ning Fan suddenly turned around and his cold eyes swept across the area behind him. Are you still not going to come out? Do all the members of the Vine Sovereign like to hide like this? As soon as Ning Fan spoke, a disdainful laughter resounded in the empty place. Hiding the head and showing the tail? You're just a void inquiry stage cultivator. Do you think you're worthy of me hiding and scheming against you? I just don't want to kill you on the realm gate. Amidst the laughter, a lady with waist-length hair and pink robes appeared on the realm gate. Her eyes were beautiful, but they were filled with cold, killing intent. There was a pink sword pouch tied around her waist. Her body was surrounded by traces of sword intent. The sword intent intertwined with each other like vines and grew endlessly. It was the pure vine-wood sword intent. Her aura force was like the heavens. The void where she stood trembled slightly. She was a sword cultivator at the first heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm. I am the palace lord of the Vine Sovereign's Purple Vine Palace. Teng Xianro. Today I came here to kill you. Liu Bei Dai. A sword cultivator? Or a woman? Ning Fan's lips curled into a mocking smile. He had already expected that the subordinates of the Vine Sovereign would not let him go so easily. He was afraid that they would ambush him at the 6 great realm gates. However, he did not expect that he would be ambushed by a void fragmentation realm female sword cultivator. How was this an ambush? It was clearly a huge gift. A void fragmentation realm cauldron that was delivered to his doorstep. Chapter 575. There were a total of 6 realm gates at the border of the Northern Forest Sea and the Eastern Forest Sea. Outside the first realm gate, a pink sound-transmitting sword light suddenly came to the side of a towering ancient tree. With a flash of brilliance, the ancient tree turned into a void fragmentation realm cultivator who had the appearance of a big-headed boy. The big-headed boy was slightly surprised. He pointed at the flying sword and said to himself, Teng Xianro's voice transmission. After listening to the sound transmission, the big-headed boy sneered. Teng Xianro has taken advantage of him. That Liu Bei will definitely die after colliding with Teng Xianro. There is no need to wait. Outside the second realm gate, a tree ant covered in leaves also received a voice transmission flying sword. He fell into Teng Xianro's hands? Unfortunately, this great merit was picked up by Teng Xianro. At the 4th, 5th, and 6th realm gates, the 6 origin-returning Great Void Realm cultivators all received the message flying swords. They either had expressions of joy or regret. All of them turned into streaks of light and left the realm gate, not waiting any longer. There's no need to wait. Since Liu Bei has fallen into the hands of Palace Master Xianro, it's impossible for him to survive. He will definitely die in the 3rd realm gate. There's no need for us to wait in vain again. West Tree Sea, Vine King Hall. A stern-looking middle-aged man clad in rattan armor sat on a throne with a pink voice transmission flying sword in his hand. Has that Liu Bei fallen into the hands of Xianro? Xianro is the only female void fragmentation realm cultivator under my command. Even though she is a woman, her abilities are not any weaker than a man's. Her sword techniques are especially powerful. She was bestowed the surname Teng by me. With her around, Liu Bei will definitely die. The 3rd realm gate, the realm gate of the Valley of Tang on the realm path. The corners of Ning Fan's mouth curled upwards and he stared at Teng Xianro mockingly. If the ones who ambushed him were other void fragmentation realm experts or void pierce stage experts at the origin returning realm or void pierce stage, Ning Fan would have a tough battle. However, it just so happened that the person who came was a beautiful female sword cultivator, and she was purely here to die. The mockery in Ning Fan's eyes was not concealed at all. When Teng Xianro saw that expression, it immediately turned into a trace of anger. What did she see? She actually saw a trace of contempt in Ning Fan's eyes. Ning Fan was just a void inquiry stage junior. He actually looked down on her, a void fragmentation realm sword cultivator. Wasn't he being too arrogant? That's right. If he wasn't an extremely arrogant person, how would he dare to kill the Vine Sovereign's disciple? However, when she thought about it, she thought to herself, could Ning Fan be trying to provoke her on purpose? Because he knew that he was no match for a void fragmentation realm cultivator, he purposely infuriated her and tried to find a chance to escape while she was angry? Don't try to provoke me. That will only make your death worse. Teng Xianro elegantly raised one of her hands and pointed her finger at Ning Fan. Her wood elemental demonic power spread out, turning into millions of green sword lights and slashed at Ning Fan. This was just a casual attack from her, but it was enough to kill an ordinary Grand Virtual Realm expert. She did not think that Ning Fan would be able to block her attack at all. Thus, she raised her neck proudly, waiting for Ning Fan to die under the million sword lights. Ning Fan looked at the sword light that was coming towards him. He did not try to dodge it. Instead, he just smiled and called out the name of a little girl. Teng Xianro was stunned. She did not know what kind of strange incantation Ning Fan was chanting. In the next moment, an ancient sword was swept across the realm path, and the millions of sword lights that she had slashed out collapsed without warning. Strong winds swept across the realm path, causing Ning Fan's black hair and white robes to flutter. He still looked calm and composed, as if he had broken all of Teng Xianro's sword lights without even making a move. Little Fan, don't be afraid. Second sister will help you beat her up. The arrogant voice of the second sword spirit came from the sword pouch. Of course, it was a telepathic message. Only Ning Fan could hear it. Her ability specialized in breaking people's sword lights. Her opponent was just a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm sword cultivator. There was no need for her to be afraid of him at all. How is this possible? Teng Xianro was completely stunned. Her beautiful eyes were filled with disbelief. If Ning Fan had used some kind of ability to break her sword technique, she would have accepted it. After all, it was just a sword light that she casually threw out. If Ning Fan uses all of his means, it would not be surprising for him to be able to block it. However, Teng Xianro believed her own eyes. She did not see wrongly. Ning Fan did not move from the beginning to the end. He just used his sword will to break her sword light. Strange. This is really strange. A Void Inquiry Stage Junior was able to break her sword light just by chanting a strange incantation without even moving his body. A strange incantation? Teng Xianro's beautiful eyes turned solemn. She seemed to have recalled something. She was a rogue cultivator. Her innate talent in the Tao of Sword was astonishing. She had killed countless people in her life. With the sword in her hand, she gained the recognition of the Vine Sovereign and was appointed as the Palace Lord of the Purple Vine Palace. She read a lot of books. She would read all the ancient books that were related to sword techniques. She would even read the strange stories that mortals used to entertain themselves. As long as it was related to sword techniques, she would also read it. Those strange stories were just idle books among idle books, and had nothing to do with cultivation. However, Teng Xianro firmly believed that any ordinary and simple things contain the most mysterious sword principles. Comprehending by analogy would instead help to improve one's Tao of Sword. She had once flipped through a strange book written by a mortal. It mentioned a mysterious swordsmanship called the Sword of Speech. The so-called Sword of Speech was an immortal technique of an immortal that was conceived by a mortal scholar. Immortals would use their words as swords, and their words would be like swords that could slay all living beings. Teng Xianro originally did not believe that there was such a sword technique called Sword of Speech in this world. Now that she saw Ning Fan chanting a strange incantation and suddenly emitting a terrifying sword intent, she immediately had a guess. Humph. Junior. What you are using is the Sword of Speech technique, isn't it? She thought that she had seen through Ning Fan's divine ability. However, she did not expect that her words would make Ning Fan dumbfounded. Sword of Speech. What is that? Humph. You don't have to pretend anymore. I have already seen through all of your divine abilities. It's just a mere sword of speech. It's not worth mentioning at all. You use words as a sword. Let's see whether your sword of speech is faster or my purple vine sword is faster. Teng Xianro patted her sword pouch, and a purple wooden sword that was made from purple vines appeared in her hand. Wooden swords were not as sharp as metal swords. However, they were better than metal swords in other areas such as divine abilities and sword intent. What Yun Tianjue was good at was a sharp sword technique that could destroy 10,000 enemies with a single sword. As for Teng Xianro, what she was good at was a sword technique that could transform all living things. Purple Vine Sword Formation, Divine Snake. Teng Xianro performed a hand seal with her left hand and held the sword with her right hand. She pointed the tip of the sword at Ning Fan and her sword intent spread out like clouds. All of a sudden, the passage of the world trembled violently and a gigantic purple sword diagram appeared. Countless purple vines suddenly grew out of the passage beneath Ning Fan's feet. The vines coiled like snakes and the vines were as sharp as swords. Countless purple vines intertwined with each other, forming a cage of purple vines that was several hundred zhang around Ning Fan. Those purple vines were unusually sharp. They were formed from the purest sword qi. Even a great void stage cultivator would be injured upon coming into contact with them. A moment of carelessness could even cause one to directly die in the sword formation. In the cage of purple vines, countless purple vines suddenly transformed into purple sword snakes. In this narrow space where it was difficult to even turn one's body, Ning Fan had no way to dodge the attacks from the countless sword snakes. Of course, he did not plan to dodge them either. Hua Hua. He calmly called out the name of the fourth sword spirit. Inside the sword pouch, Hua Hua, who was dressed in red robes, immediately released her unique sword intent. The sword intent that was filled with vicissitudes spread out. The countless sword snakes immediately trembled and collapsed. The purple vine's cage immediately withered. A moment later, it turned into ashes and dissipated. As for the gigantic sword diagram beneath Ning Fan's feet, it shattered into countless fragments of the formation diagram under Hua Hua's sword intent. How is this possible? Teng Xianro's face was filled with astonishment. If her first attack was just a casual attack from Ning Fan and it was broken by his sword of words, she could still accept it. However, during her second attack, even though she did not use her strongest trump card, she was definitely serious about it. The advantage of this purple vine sword formation lay in the fact that it was extremely fast to form. Under unexpected circumstances, it could even kill a great void stage cultivator in an instant. Even a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator would inevitably suffer severe injuries if he is careless and gets trapped in the formation. This purple vine's sword formation had also been broken by a few void fragmentation realm experts before. However, all of them had to leave the range of the sword diagram before the formation was formed. No one was as relaxed as Ning Fan. He stood leisurely in the sword formation and used the most direct and forceful method to directly break the entire purple vine's sword diagram. What a powerful sword of words! At this moment, Teng Xianro paid unprecedented attention to Ning Fan. She almost regarded him as the strongest sword cultivator she has ever met in her life. Even though this young man is just a void inquiry stage expert, his attainments in the sword of words have already reached perfection. I can only kill him by using my trump card. Fortunately, I met this young man and I can see through his sword of words technique. Perhaps I still have a chance of winning. If it's someone else who doesn't know his sword of words technique, they would probably die without a burial place in just a single exchange. Humph. This Liu Bei is really unlucky to have met me. Only I, a sword cultivator, have the chance to break his sword of words. The more Teng Xianro thought about it, the worse her situation became. If Ning Fan could hear her inner thoughts, he would certainly not know whether to laugh or cry. He did not use any ability at all, nor did he use his sword of words technique. He was just ordering the 5 swords to attack Teng Xianro. That was all. He just wanted Teng Xianro to keep attacking until her demon power is almost depleted. Then he would rush forward and use his bewitching technique to eliminate her. The 5 sword spirits were bullying Teng Xianro's identity as a sword cultivator while Ning Fan was bullying Teng Xianro's identity as a woman. If they fight face to face, Ning Fan was definitely not a match for a void fragmentation realm cultivator. He could only rely on Luo Yu's strength to fight Teng Xianro. However, he would certainly be severely injured after the battle. That was not worth it. Obviously, it would be safer to borrow the strength of the 5 sword spirits. Liu Bei, I have to admit that you are very strong. There aren't many sword cultivators in the tree world, but you are a rare sword cultivator genius. You can even use the sword of words technique. To be honest, I actually feel a little reluctant to kill you. However, you have angered the Vine Sovereign. If I don't kill you, she will kill me. If you die, you don't have to hate me. If you want to hate someone, you should hate the Vine Sovereign. This ancient sword is the strongest flying sword that the Vine Sovereign has given me. It was accidentally lost in the tree world by a rogue immortal sword cultivator who was roaming the 9 worlds hundreds of thousands of years ago. This sword is called Emperor Xia's sword. It is a mid-grade immortal void realm flying sword. Normally, only a 3rd heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator can use a flying sword of this level. Only a 3rd heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator can withstand a strike from this sword. Even if a cultivator at the 2nd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm is hit by this sword, he will either die or be severely injured. Teng Xianrou kept the wisteria sword and patted her sword pouch, taking out a thin golden sword in her hand. The appearance of this flying sword was obviously different from ordinary flying swords. The blade of the sword was very narrow and the body of the sword was engraved with the mark of a dragon, giving off the majesty of a sovereign being. Obviously, the rogue immortal who used this sword in the past must be a sovereign being. Teng Xianrou looked at Ning Fan with a complicated expression. Then she gritted her teeth and performed a hand seal with her fingers. Her face gradually turned pale. Obviously, using the flying sword that was at a higher cultivation level than her had drained a lot of her demon power. Gradually, she began to feel weak. In order to activate this sword, she had nearly used up 90% of her demon power. As soon as this flying sword appears, even a cultivator at the 2nd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm would be in mortal danger. Liu Bei, don't be my enemy in your next life. Quick! As Teng Xianrou pointed her finger, the Emperor Xia's sword turned into an incomparable golden sword light and shot towards Ning Fan. The sword light of the flying sword was too fast. It was even faster than the speed of a 2nd heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator. If Ning Fan relied on his own techniques, he would not be able to escape from it at all. He took a deep look at Teng Xianrou. This lady was definitely an expert sword cultivator. Even in the tree world where sword cultivators were rare, she could still cultivate to such a level. If this lady was in the sword world, she might have already become the sword sovereign of a generation. Unfortunately, this talented sword cultivator had unfortunately bumped into Ning Fan. Was it her misfortune or her fortune? Tong Tong. As soon as Ning Fan muttered the name of the 5th sword spirit, the little stutter Tong Tong immediately released her sword intent, which was filled with vicissitudes of life. Under this sword intent, the golden flying sword, which was initially unstoppable, immediately trembled violently and fell from the sky. Unfortunately, Tong Tong did not manage to shatter this flying sword. It was probably because the grade of this flying sword was too high. However, Tong Tong's sword intent specialized in restraining flying swords. Even though she did not destroy the flying sword directly, she sealed it, preventing it from moving at all. How is this possible? Teng Xianrou revealed a terrified expression for the first time. She could not imagine that Emperor Xia's sword, which could even injure a cultivator at the 2nd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, was actually blocked by Ning Fan's sword word technique. What a terrifying sword word technique! It could even block Emperor Xia's sword. Doesn't this mean that Ning Fan could fight against a cultivator at the 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm with just his sword word technique? This young man is certainly not a void inquiry stage cultivator. He must be an old monster at the 2nd heavenly layer or even the 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm who is hiding his cultivation base on purpose. Yes, that must be the case. If he isn't an old monster at the 2nd or 3rd heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, who would dare to offend the Vine Sovereign? I'm not a match for him. This is bad. I must escape. Teng Xianrou gritted her teeth and wanted to escape. However, she realized that the realm gate which she came from had already been closed. She could not return to the northern tree sea. Her only way to escape was to pass through the realm gate and enter the eastern tree sea. However, the way to the eastern tree sea was blocked by Ning Fan. If she wants to escape, she would still need to fight him. Just as she was hesitating, she suddenly saw Ning Fan summoning a cloak and vanishing on the spot. Teng Xianrou knew that Ning Fan must have concealed himself with the help of a spiritual equipment. However, this spiritual equipment was a profound divinity spiritual equipment. Even with her spirit sense, it would be difficult for her to detect Ning Fan's traces in a short period of time. She had no idea where he was hiding at all. She forced herself to calm down. She did not even dare to pick up Emperor Xia's sword. All of a sudden, her body exploded into 17 rays of sword light and flew towards the teleportation formation of the Eastern Tree Sea at the same time. This technique was called 17 Broken Swords. In essence, it was a type of incarnation technique. When her broken body turned into 17 rays of sword light, Teng Xianrou would not be harmed even if all the other sword lights were destroyed. She split into 17 rays of sword light to escape. As long as one of them was not destroyed, Teng Xianrou would not be harmed even if all the other sword lights were destroyed. "MMO, it's still you." Ning Fan ordered the second sword spirit to attack again. MOMO was extremely happy. It was already her second time attacking. It could be considered as her second contribution. Jingjing and Shui did not attack at all. After all, Teng Xianrou did not use her sword force and sword intent. She could not break them even if she wanted to. MOMO proudly spread out her sword intent, covering the entire world passage. At the same moment, the 17 sword lights that Teng Xianrou had transformed into shattered at the same time, turning back into the pink-clothed woman. She fell heavily on the world passage with blood seeping from the corner of her mouth. Her injuries were not light. Not good. She had just fallen to the ground, so her demonic energy was in a mess and she couldn't circulate it at all. At this time, Ning Fan's invisibility suddenly appeared beside her. His left hand was using the Yin plucking finger while his right hand was using the Yin imprisoning rope. They struck her body at the same time. In an instant, Teng Xianrou's delicate body went limp, and she lost all of her beast power. "This is charm spell." Teng Xianrou's face turned pale with fright. She did not expect that Ning Fan was not only proficient in the sword speech technique but also the bewitching technique. Wait, charm. If Ning Fan is proficient in bewitching techniques, doesn't it mean that he is also proficient in the plucking technique? Doesn't this mean that after I capture her, she will become a void fragmentation realm human cauldron full of primordial Yin? Liu Bei, I didn't expect that I would fall into your hands. Your sword of speech art is divine. I've lost. Give me a quick death, kill me. If I kill you, wouldn't I be wasting a human cauldron for nothing? Ning Fan's expression was indifferent. He continuously pointed his Yin plucking finger. With his current cultivation base, even a void fragmentation realm female cultivator would not be able to withstand his Yin plucking finger. Teng Xianrou's vision turned blurry. She was tricked by the 5 sword spirits. This lady is quite interesting. Ning Fan could not help but laugh. He did not expect to capture Teng Xianrou so easily. The 5 sword spirits could only blame themselves for being the nemesis of sword cultivators. After setting up layers of restrictive spells on Teng Xianrou's body, Ning Fan locked her up in the Cauldron World's Penance Palace. The Penance Palace had been modified. The female cultivators who were locked up in the palace would fall into a coma for a long time. With the level of the small Kiliacosm in the Cauldron World, even a void fragmentation realm female cultivator would end up in a coma after being locked up in the Penance Palace. Since he had captured this lady, he would either keep her as a helper or pluck her completely. Either way, she would be useful to him. After dealing with the lady, Ning Fan waved his hand and summoned Emperor Xia's sword which had fallen to the ground into his hand. He caressed the dragon-shaped engravings on the body of the sword and a strange feeling rose in his heart. He kept having the feeling that this Emperor Xia's sword gave him a strange sense of familiarity. However, he had no idea why it felt so familiar. It's a little strange. However, I have to say that this is a good sword. It can even severely injure a second heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cultivator. Unfortunately, I am far from being able to activate this sword. Ning Fan sighed. Little Fan, if you don't want this flying sword, just give it to us. We don't have any flying swords that can accommodate the body of a sword spirit, Jing Jing suggested. Little Fan Fan, I have already helped you twice. Why don't you give me some rewards? Mo said coyly. Little Fan Fan, I want this sword. I want it. I want it. Shui was acting cute. Little Fan Fan, I will help you to comprehend the sword techniques in this sword. How about that? Hua Hua tried to make a profit. What? Tong Tong stuttered. She decided to only say the most crucial word. Oh, you guys want this Emperor Xia's sword? Ning Fan's eyes suddenly moved. This sword was useless to him anyway. Let's just let the 5 sword spirits play with it. If they can really create something useful, it would be worth looking forward to. With a flash of traveling light, Ning Fan went straight to the other end of the passage. Unbeknownst to him, the moment he captured Ting Xianro, the Vine Sovereign could no longer use the Vine Seed to sense her whereabouts. Teng Xianro has been captured. She has been captured by Liu Bei. The Vine Sovereign was enraged. Besides feeling furious, she also found it unbelievable. She could not imagine how a mere Void Inquiry Stage Junior could capture Ting Xianro, who was at the first heavenly layer of the Void Fragmentation Realm. She suddenly felt that she had somewhat underestimated Ning Fan in the past. Tell Wan Changkong to come and see me. The Vine Sovereign's eyes flashed with killing intent. Chapter 576. Ning Fan walked to the end of the realm passage. There was a teleportation formation which was emitting purple light. As soon as he stepped into the teleportation formation, the scenery in front of him immediately changed. After a few breaths of time, a ray of purple light flashed in the sky above a sea of trees in the eastern forest sea. Then, Ning Fan's figure emerged. Qing Dai was waiting for Ning Fan on the peak of a mountain not far away. Seeing Ning Fan's arrival, he immediately went forward to greet him. Brother Liu, are you all right? Did something happen in the world passage? Qing Dai changed the way she addressed him and asked with concern. After spending a few days together, the relationship between her and Ning Fan had become much closer. They were no longer as distant as they were in the beginning. This concerned greeting came from the bottom of his heart. It's just a small matter. It's already been resolved. Ning Fan gave Qing Dai a reassuring look. Then he took out the map of the Eastern Tree Sea from his storage pouch and sent his spirit sense into it. He knew that this was the country of dragon capture, and there was a dragon capture realm gate that was connected to the valley of Tang Realm Gate. Starting from the country of dragon capture and heading northeast, after passing through 42 cultivation countries, one would arrive at the void-level cultivation country where the underworld tree clan resided, the country of Cold Azure. In the past, the largest tree clan in Cold Azure Kingdom was the Nether Civ clan. But now, the Nether Civ clan was only a second-rate force. In the past, when my Nether Luo clan was at its peak, we dominated the Cold Azure country and controlled the tree world. We made friends with all the experts in the world, but we also offended many tree clans. Now, our clan has declined and no one cares about our old friends. Cultivators from other clans often come to bully us. When our clan was at its peak, none of the cultivators in the world could compete with us. Now that we've fallen, we can't even protect the remains of our ancestors. Qing Dai's bright eyes dimmed and she seemed a little sad. Don't worry. With me here, the Underworld Raja clan won't be bullied and humiliated again. Ning Fan patted his storage pouch and took out a palm-sized green boat. As soon as he pointed it at the sky, the small boat grew in the wind and instantly turned into a huge azure ship. The name of this boat was the Azure Heavenly Boat. It was made from the Azure Heavenly Wood. It was a mid-grade mortal void evasion treasure. It was powered by a formation and immortal jade. Its maximum speed was infinitely close to the Void Pierce stage. The Azure Sky Arc was also equipped with 12 Void Spirit Cannons. As long as one spent some immortal jade, each of the Void Spirit Cannons could fire a Void Inquiry stage attack. When 12 cannons were fired at the same time, even a Void Pierce stage expert would have to retreat. There was also a peak mortal void realm formation light installed on the ship. When the formation light was fully activated, it could even withstand the attacks of absolute void realm cultivators. I stole this boat from the vast glacial city, and I'll give it to you today. You can steer it and take me to the glacial nation. My primordial spirit is injured, so it's not good for me to show myself. I need to recuperate. For me. Qing Dai's face turned red. Clearly, she did not expect that Ning Fan would give her such an expensive gift. This heavenly azure boat was an extremely valuable escape treasure. When it was sold in Moon Cold City, it was sold for 5 billion immortal jades. She had been to Moon City before and had seen this sky azure boat. At that time, she was very tempted and wanted to buy this boat, but she had no choice but to give up when she saw the price. Even if she spent all her wealth, she still couldn't afford it. She didn't expect that Ning Fan would give her such a precious azure sky boat so casually. These immortal jades are for you. Every time we pass by a cultivation country, head to the biggest trading city of that country and buy all of the tree god fruits there. I have great use for these fruits. If you come across any of the puppet materials recorded in this jade slip, buy them. Ning Fan then took out a storage pouch that was filled with immortal jades and a jade slip that recorded the cultivation materials and handed them to Qing Dai. Qing Dai knew that Ning Fan would be busy with recuperating during the journey to the glacial nation and would not show himself. Ning Fan asked her to buy the tree god fruits and puppet materials. Of course, she would not reject such a small matter. She scanned the jade slip with her spirit sense and carefully read the puppet materials recorded in it. Gradually, her eyes filled with astonishment. Her puppet mastery was very good. She could naturally tell that these materials were extremely rare and precious. Most of them were used to repair high-level spiritual puppets, especially the last 12 materials, which were the most precious. They were definitely not the materials used to repair void refinement realm spiritual puppets. Those were the precious materials that would only be used to repair void fragmentation realm spiritual puppets. Each of them was extremely expensive. Big Brother Lu, are you buying these materials to repair void fragmentation realm spiritual puppets? Although she was shocked, she did not ask further. She then scanned the storage pouch that Ning Fan gave her with her spirit sense. When she saw the number of immortal jades inside, she immediately covered her mouth and exclaimed, So many immortal jades. There were a total of 120 billion immortal jades inside the storage pouch. Some of them were obtained by Ning Fan from the Rain Palace. Some of them were the rewards from the mission and the rest were obtained from Teng Xinrou's storage pouch. As for the largest portion, it was naturally obtained from robbing 100,000 cultivation shops in the vast cold city. The vast cold city was a trading city that was jointly managed by more than 10 void refinement realm forces in the northern Tree Sea. Robbing a city would naturally bring him a huge harvest. There are so many immortal jades. I don't dare to take them. Qing Dai gently bit her lips. She had never seen so many immortal jades in her life. Even a void fragmentation realm old monster might not have so many immortal jades. These immortal jades are not for you. Why are you so nervous? You are going to help me buy the tree god fruits and puppet materials. I'm sure the cost will be huge. Even though there are a lot of immortal jades here, it might not be enough. Alright, let's go. Ning Fan's figure flashed and arrived on the azure sky ship. He entered the palace inside the cabin to meditate. Qing Dai kept the storage pouch and the jade slip. Her thoughts were a little complicated and she could not explain it clearly. Ning Fan giving her so much money was a sign of his trust in her. In a flash, she arrived on the azure sky ship. After placing enough immortal jades in the flying formation, she performed a hand seal and activated the azure sky ship to fly towards the vast cold country. Of course, according to Ning Fan's order, she had to fly to the biggest trading city in the dragon-holding country first to purchase the items that Ning Fan needed. The traveling light of the azure sky ship was like a painting that was painted in the sky. It drew a line in the sky and dyed the vast sky blue. While it was flying, the body of the ship was emitting a continuous drizzle. Along the way, it actually started to drizzle. Azure and misty rain. It was a very beautiful traveling light. Ning Fan entered the palace inside the cabin and consumed a pill to meditate. According to his estimation, if the Azure Sky ship flew at full speed, it would take them at most 7 days to pass through 42 cultivation countries and arrive at the vast cold country. Adding the time that Qing Dai needed to stop the ship to buy items along the way, it would take them at most half a month to arrive at the vast cold country. Under normal circumstances, half a month was not enough to fully heal the injuries of one's primordial spirit. However, now that Ning Fan had a void fragmentation realm cauldron in his hand, it was not difficult for him to fully recover. With my current cultivation base, plucking a first heavenly layer void fragmentation realm cauldron won't be a problem. If I pluck all of Ting Xianrou's cultivation base, not only will my primordial spirit recover, but I can also increase my magic power by 1 million units. 1 million units of magic power. Currently, I am only 800,000 units of magic power away from the Void Pierce stage. If I have an extra 1 million units of magic power, I'm afraid that I will directly face the Void Pierce stage heavenly tribulation. Now that my spiritual puppet has yet to be repaired, I am not ready to face the tribulation yet. This is a little troublesome. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with contemplation. 1 hour later, his body was filled with magic power. With a sway of his body, he entered the cauldron world. After the hard work of the female guards, a huge city with complete facilities was built in the cauldron world. Some of the female guards were cultivating in formations while others were learning pill refinement and weapon refinement techniques. They had already gotten used to the peaceful life in the cauldron world. There were no disputes and they cultivated peacefully. As soon as they saw Ning Fan, Bing Ling and Yu Ling immediately welcomed him. They followed Ning Fan's order and brought him to the Palace of Repentance. It was a huge palace made of white jade. The outside of the palace was filled with bewitching formations while the inside of the palace was filled with red mist. The red mist was exactly the same as the red mist in the heavenly dwelling of the Cauldron Ring. The sisters waited outside the palace while Ning Fan entered the Palace of Repentance alone. This palace was only used to imprison cauldrons that were difficult to subdue, such as Old Ancestor Bai Tong of the Giant Devil clan, the red-haired lady who had the body of a flower devil, and Ting Xianrou who had a void fragmentation realm cultivation base that was difficult to control. Ning Fan stepped into the third palace that was shrouded in red mist. In the main hall, Ting Xianrou, who was dressed in pink, was sleeping on the jade couch. The power of the Yin plucking finger was flowing inside her body. Her delicate body was tied up by the Yin imprisoning rope and she was breathing in the red mist in the hall. She could not wake up at all. Ning Fan slowly walked to the jade couch and carefully observed Ting Xianrou's sleeping face. Ting Xianrou was dressed in a pink dress with flowing mist. Her long black hair was combed into a bun and there was a pink lotus hairpin on one side of her head. Her sleeping face was calm. She had faint eyebrows and long eyelashes. However, her face was a little pale. She probably had yet to recover from the injuries she suffered during the battle in the realm passage. Even so, her beauty was still indescribably beautiful. When she is sleeping peacefully, perhaps no one would treat her as the palace lord of the Purple Vine Palace who had killed countless people. Ning Fan's eyes darkened and he remained silent. To be honest, he did not have any ill feelings towards this lady. If it wasn't for this lady who chased after him, he would not have to capture her. Since they were enemies, after he captured this woman, she would be his cauldron. There was no doubt about that. Ning Fan wanted to use this lady to heal his injuries. However, he was not willing to pluck her for the time being. He was afraid that he would trigger the Void Pierce stage heavenly tribulation in advance after he obtains 1 million units of magic power. Since that's the case, I can only choose a compromise. He raised his finger and gently touched the top of Ting Xianrou's head. He wanted to confirm one thing. Only by confirming this could he use the method that would satisfy both sides. After he carefully examined her body, his eyes gradually revealed a satisfied look, and he said indifferently, "This lady's sea of consciousness is also in the shape of a sword. She possesses sword consciousness and sword sense. In that case, I can perform dual cultivation of my sea of consciousness with her." Dual sea of consciousness cultivation was a profound plucking technique recorded in the Yin-Yang transformation. The prerequisite for this technique was that the plucker and the one being plucked had the same special sea of consciousness. If one didn't cultivate a special sea of consciousness, one couldn't use this technique. If the two people dual cultivating have different sea of consciousness, they can't use this technique. Ning Fan cultivated the sword consciousness and sword sense, while Teng Xianrou was a pure sword cultivator who also cultivated the sword consciousness and sword sense. With this premise, Ning Fan could pluck Teng Xianrou's sword sense through dual cultivation in his sea of consciousness. This kind of plucking technique did not require the user to harvest magic power. Naturally, it would not trigger the void-pierced stage heavenly tribulation. Teng Xianrou was a void fragmentation realm cultivator. If he dual cultivates with her in his sea of consciousness, his spirit sense would certainly skyrocket. To him, who had the psyche soul incarnation, the improvement of his divine will was a great improvement in his strength. If Teng Xianrou did not pluck her cultivation base and only plucked her spirit sense, she would still be a void fragmentation realm cultivator. If he manages to subdue him, he would have another void fragmentation realm fighter by his side. Now that his spiritual puppet had yet to be repaired, it was always good to have a void fragmentation realm helper by his side. After weighing the pros and cons, dual cultivation in his sea of consciousness was naturally more beneficial than plucking her directly. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with determination. He pointed a finger at Teng Xianrou, who was in deep sleep. He did not untie the Yin imprisoning rope. He just slightly dispersed some of the Yin plucking finger's power. Teng Xianrou let out a soft moan and slowly woke up. She had just woken up and was still a little dazed. The first thing she saw when she woke up was Ning Fan, who was standing beside the jade couch. All of a sudden, Teng Xianrou felt as if a bucket of cold water was poured on her head. Her eyes swept across the ambiguous jade couch. Her charming face was filled with anger and even a hint of panic. "Liu Bei, what do you want to do to me? You are my human cauldron. Tell me, what do you think I will do to you?" Ning Fan said with a faint smile. "You can't pluck me." Teng Xianrou was a little scared. In her impression, Ning Fan's sort of speech technique was too powerful and she was no match for him. Now, she was under the effect of the bewitching technique, which was too powerful, causing her to be unable to mobilize any of her demon power. Currently, she was as weak as a mortal. She could not go against Ning Fan at all. If Ning Fan plucked her, she would not be able to resist and her void fragmentation realm would be forcefully plucked. That was the void fragmentation realm that she had painstakingly cultivated for many years. How could she bear to lose it? From Ning Fan's point of view, plucking her was a matter of course. She was the one who chased after Ning Fan first. Since they were enemies, there was no need to be merciful. She suddenly regretted. If she did not participate in the hunt for Ning Fan, she would not have fallen into such a desperate situation. Her regret and fear fell into Ning Fan's eyes. Ning Fan's eyes darkened and he suddenly said, "I can give you two choices. You might as well consider it." "What choices?" Teng Xianrou was startled. "The first choice, I will pluck your cultivation base." Before Ning Fan could finish his words, he saw Teng Xianrou's pleading expression. "Don't pluck me." Ning Fan ignored her and continued speaking. "The second choice, I have a special plucking technique. I can complete the dual cultivation of your sea of consciousness by entangling it with your sea of consciousness. This plan will not taint your innocence or destroy your primordial Yin. What I'm plucking is your sword sense. This technique will only succeed if you actively cooperate with me. Once the plucking is successful, your sword sense will certainly collapse and your special sea of consciousness will disappear. As for me, my spirit sense will skyrocket. Which of the two choices will you choose?" As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he did not say anything else. He calmly waited for Teng Xianrou's reply. Teng Xianrou's eyes showed signs of struggle. If she chooses the first option, her cultivation base will be completely plucked by Ning Fan and she will certainly fall to the void fragmentation realm. If she chooses the second option, the sword sense that she had painstakingly cultivated will collapse and she will lose her special sea of consciousness. Both of the choices would cause her harm. However, after weighing the pros and cons, Losing her sword sense was naturally a lesser price than losing her void fragmentation realm cultivation base. If she loses her void fragmentation realm cultivation base, she would be considered as crippled for the rest of her life. If she loses her sword sense, she would still be a void fragmentation realm cultivator. Thus, the second option. Teng Xianro gritted her teeth and said, "The second option, huh? Very good. Since you have made this choice, you have no choice but to accept my other condition. I want to plant a restriction on you and control your life and death. I will take you as my slave. From then on, you will follow me to battle and I will preserve your void fragmentation realm cultivation base. This request is not too much, right? What? You want to plant a restriction on me and take me as your slave?" Teng Xianro was enraged. However, she clenched her teeth and forcefully suppressed her anger. She was a dignified void fragmentation realm old monster who could run amok in the tree world. How could she be willing to let Ning Fan control her life and death? If she allows Ning Fan to plant a restriction on her, she would become Ning Fan's slave and fighter from today onwards. She would no longer be able to disobey any of his orders. However, if she does not accept Ning Fan's condition, she would certainly not have a good ending. She was like a fish on Ning Fan's chopping block. There was no way she could disobey Ning Fan's orders at all. She was hesitating and hesitating. At that moment, she would rather commit suicide than become Ning Fan's slave. Ning Fan saw Teng Xianro's expression. He thought to himself, "This woman does have some backbone. I shouldn't force her too much." As a matter of fact, Ning Fan had already decided to dual cultivate with Teng Xianro in his Sea of Consciousness and take her as his fighter. The reason why he gave Teng Xianro two options and added another condition after she chose the second option was actually to attack her mind step by step. To attack her mind, other than coercion, he also needed to tempt her with benefits. Ning Fan could not blindly coerce her. 500 years. You will be my slave for 500 years. After 500 years, I will return you your freedom. Is what you said true? You will really return my freedom after 500 years? Teng Xianro was astonished. She had never thought that she would still have the hope of regaining her freedom after falling into Ning Fan's hands. She was naturally unwilling to be Ning Fan's slave. However, if it's just 500 years, she could still consider it. She could regain her freedom after enduring 500 years of humiliation. Compared to that, committing suicide was obviously not worth it at all. Teng Xianro weighed the pros and cons repeatedly in her mind. She became more and more tempted. Losing her sword consciousness and 500 years of freedom, she could regain her new life after 500 years. If what you said is true, I am willing to let you plant a restriction on me and become your slave for 500 years. Teng Xianro finally made her decision. She knew that once she made this decision, her life and death would be tied together with Ning Fan's. From today onwards, she was no longer the palace lord of the Purple Vine Palace. From today onwards, she would turn against the Vine Sovereign. She might even join forces with Ning Fan to rebel against the Vine Sovereign. However, she had no other choice but to accept Ning Fan's condition. However, you must make a great heart devil oath and swear that you will return my freedom after 500 years. Otherwise, I won't be able to believe you. Teng Xianro added, I don't have the habit of making oaths. You can also choose not to believe me. Ning Fan's tone carried a hint of teasing. You. Teng Xianro clenched her teeth. She was in a disadvantageous position. She did not have any bargaining chips to make Ning Fan swear. No matter how she thought about it, she could only choose to believe Ning Fan. She could only pray that Ning Fan would return her freedom after 500 years. If Ning Fan goes against his promise, she could only accept her fate. Fine. I'll do whatever you say. Plant the restriction on me. Teng Xianro gritted her teeth and closed her eyes, looking like she was resigned to her fate. Ning Fan nodded his head and pointed at the top of Teng Xianro's head, planting the Fu Li demon restriction on her. It was Ning Fan's strongest restriction. To a demon cultivator like Teng Xianro, its control was even stronger. When Teng Xianro sensed the terrifying demon restriction in her sea of consciousness, she was extremely shocked. She had never seen anyone with such a powerful demon restriction. What kind of demon race is this Liu Bei exactly? What level is his demon blood? Why is the demon restriction he used so powerful? After planting the demon restriction, Ning Fan waved his hand and removed the Yin imprisoning rope on Teng Xianrou's body, dispersing the Yin plucking finger force in her body. Teng Xianrou's demon power gradually recovered. She propped herself up and sat on the jade couch, tidying her messy hair. Then, she sighed softly and closed her eyes. She activated her demon power and erased the vine seed in her body. After erasing the vine seed, the vine sovereign would no longer be able to detect her whereabouts. This meant that from this moment on, she had officially betrayed the vine sovereign. She no longer had a way out. Alright, let's proceed with the dual cultivation of your sea of consciousness. I will try my best to cooperate with you. Teng Xianrou closed her eyes and raised her head, looking like she was going to the execution ground. She had never heard of a cultivation method like dual cultivation of the sea of consciousness. From Ning Fan's words, dual cultivation of the sea of consciousness would only touch each other's sea of consciousness. There would not be any physical entanglement. Even though she understood this, she still felt a little nervous. Deep in her heart, she was very disgusted with dual cultivation. However, she did not dare to show it as she was afraid of arousing Ning Fan's dissatisfaction. Ning Fan got on the jade couch and sat opposite to Teng Xianrou with his legs crossed. Then he held Teng Xianrou's soft palm with both of his hands. The cold and smooth touch did not feel like the hands of a sword cultivator at all. Instead, it felt like the hands of a young lady who had never done any chores. Your hands are well maintained. Ning Fan teased. Teng Xianrou opened her eyes and glared at Ning Fan in embarrassment and anger. She wished she could skin him alive and eat him alive. However, when Ning Fan held her hand, traces of numbness rose in her heart. It was as if ants were crawling on her skin, causing her mind to be in a mess. After cultivating the Tao for 20,000 years, this was the first time a man held her hand. Her anger subsided slightly. It was the first time she carefully observed Ning Fan's appearance. She had never been interested in a man's appearance in the past. At this moment, however, she was slightly interested in Ning Fan's appearance. This Liu Bei looks not bad, she thought to herself. Then, she followed Ning Fan's instructions and slowly closed her eyes, spreading her spirit sense. Their sword senses were like two entangled water snakes, entangling each other tightly. A feeling of pleasure, comfort, and shame that she had never felt before rose in Teng Xianrou's heart. In the world of her mind, she and Ning Fan were naked. They were hugging each other and entangling with each other. It was the materialized image of their dual cultivation of the sea of consciousness. Teng Xianrou wanted to cry, but no tears came out. Her physical body was not occupied, but her inner heart was completely tainted. What was the difference between this and being occupied directly? Just like that, she had dual cultivation with a man for the first time in her life. Chapter 577. This dual cultivation of the sea of consciousness lasted for a total of 10 days. 10 days later, Ning Fan left the cauldron world with Teng Xianrou. With a sway of his body, he appeared in the cabin of the Azure Sky boat. At this moment, Teng Xianrou was still wearing the same attire as before. However, her face was covered with a pink veil. It was enough to block the senses of cultivators below the void fragmentation realm, causing others to be unable to see her appearance clearly. Both of Ning Fan's eyes were filled with a vast sword intent. Through the dual cultivation in his sea of consciousness this time, he had completely seized the power of Teng Xianrou's sword consciousness and kept it for his own use. The current Ning Fan spirit sense had improved tremendously. It was far from what it was 10 days ago. Teng Xianrou had painstakingly cultivated her sword consciousness and sword sense for tens of thousands of years. All of the power of her sword consciousness had become the cornerstone that strengthened Ning Fan's sea of consciousness. 10 days ago, Ning Fan's spirit sense was just at the ordinary absolute void stage. 10 days later, his spirit sense was infinitely close to the returning to great void stage. After this dual cultivation session, His yin-yang transformation cultivation technique naturally broke through to the second layer of the third layer. Although his magic power did not increase, his battle prowess had increased greatly. This dual cultivation of the Sea of Consciousness is a pretty good plucking technique. Ning Fan muttered to himself with a smile. Your divine sense has skyrocketed. For you, it's naturally not bad. Under Teng Xianrou's veil, her pretty face was slightly embarrassed and angry. What she was ashamed of was that she had been having dual cultivation with Ning Fan's Sea of Consciousness for the past 10 days. He was angry because her sword awareness had collapsed and her Sea of Consciousness had returned to an ordinary Sea of Consciousness. After several tens of thousands of years of bitter cultivation, it only resulted in the rapid growth of his spirit sense. She naturally had a belly full of complaints. Unfortunately, she was Ning Fan's slave now. She could only be angry but did not dare to say anything. Ro Air, calm down. You are a void fragmentation realm expert after all. How can you get angry so easily? Ning Fan teased. Can you not call me like this? I can't bear it. Teng Xianrou gnashed her teeth. She did not like being called by Ning Fan in such an intimate manner. If I don't call you Ro Air, am I supposed to call you Teng Xianrou? What if someone else hears this and finds out that the servant beside me is the dignified palace master Ziding? Fine, call me whatever you want. Teng Xianrou knitted her brows. She really did not want others to know that she had become Ning Fan's slave. Seeing Teng Xianrou admit defeat, Ning Fan nodded his head in satisfaction and walked out of the cabin. Teng Xianrou immediately followed him with small steps. After 10 days of flying, the Azure Sky ship had passed 29 cultivation countries and was not far from the country of Cold Azure. At the bow of the Azure Heaven boat, Qing Dai was piloting the flying boat. As soon as she saw Ning Fan coming out of the cabin, she immediately asked with concern. Big Brother Lu, has the injury to your primordial spirit healed? Yes, my injuries have healed. Which country are you flying to now? Ning Fan asked. We're already at the Emerald Universe Nation. After flying through another 13 cultivation nations, we'll reach the Frigid Azure Nation. The sisters? Qing Dai answered respectfully. At this moment, Teng Xianrou also came out of the cabin, which was why Qing Dai asked this question. Teng Xianrou deliberately revealed her void inquiry stage cultivation base to conceal her void fragmentation realm qi. Seeing that Teng Xianrou was a void inquiry stage cultivator, Qing Dai addressed her as elder sister and her tone was very polite. My name is Qian Rou, I'm Liu Bei's friend. Teng Xianrou said the word friend in a strange tone. Ning Fan had told her how to address Qing Dai in advance. As for Qian Rou's name, it was just a random fabrication. Oh, so it's elder sister Qian Rou. My name is Qing Dai. Teng Xianrou felt rather speechless. She did not want to talk to Qing Dai anymore. When she thought of herself, a dignified void fragmentation realm old monster, addressing a void glimpse stage little girl as sister one day, she felt aggrieved. Seeing that Teng Xianrou did not want to talk to her, Qing Dai obediently changed the topic. She took out a storage pouch and passed it to Ning Fan. Other than the tree god fruits, the storage pouch also contained cultivation materials. Big Brother Lu, I've spent 90 billion immortal jade that you gave me. I still have 30 billion left. I bought a total of 6,200 tree god fruits. As for the 12 types of cultivation materials, I've already bought all of them except for the 12 types of the rarest ones. 6,200 tree god fruits are enough. As for the 12 types of cultivation materials, all of them are extremely rare and precious. It's very normal that I didn't manage to buy them. Thank you for your hard work. Ning Fan received the storage pouch and kept it. Currently, his rain intent was already at the 4th grade. According to his estimation, he would need around 5,000 tree god fruits to break through to the 3rd grade. With the number of tree god fruits he had now, it was completely enough for his rain intent to break through to the 3rd grade. He learned from old demon Fu Sang that one would need to consume the tree ancestor fruit to advance from the 3rd grade to the 2nd grade and then from the 2nd grade to the 1st grade. The tree god fruits were no longer effective. Since that was the case, it was meaningless for him to buy more tree god fruits. The only thing he could do now was to find an opportunity to go to the bamboo palace. We'll reach Hansong after going through 13 cultivation countries. I think we still have a few days to go. During these few days, you and Ro Air will buy the last 12 types of materials for the puppet. As for the tree god fruits, you don't have to buy them anymore. Ning Fan returned to the cabin alone, leaving Ting Xianro beside Qing Dai. He had already ordered Ting Xianro to accompany Qing Dai to buy the materials for the puppet. Naturally, Ting Xianro would not dare to disobey his order. As soon as he returned to the cabin, he went into the dark golden pagoda of the Yuan Yao world and entered seclusion to refine the tree god fruits. There were a total of 36 palaces on the 7th floor of the dark golden pagoda. Ning Fan pushed open one of the doors and entered a space with green mountains and clear waters. With a leap of light, he flew to the top of the mountain and released his rain intent. The entire space was immediately filled with a downpour of rain. The rain drenched his body. Cold chi seeped into his body. His heart gradually felt gloomy. How long more do I need to break through to the first-grade rain intent? How long more do I need to find my mother? First-grade rain intent. No matter how difficult it is, I must break through to the first-grade rain intent. I will definitely find my mother in the vast sea of people with this technique. Ning Fan's eyes were blank. He patted his storage pouch and took out several tree god fruits, refining them into his body. The price of a tree god fruit was equivalent to a nascent soul realm Dao fruit. After swallowing 5,000 tree god fruits, the rain intent in Ning Fan's eyes became denser. A year on the 7th floor of the pagoda was just 3 days in the outside world. He stood in the rain for a year, as if he wanted to become one with the rain. His fingers moved back and forth to form the 2 styles of the rain art, Haotian rain and Yang Heaven rain. At first, the hand seals were extremely fast, but towards the end, they became slower and slower. When the hand seals became so slow that they almost stopped, Ning Fan formed the 3rd hand seal. It was the rain of the 3rd heaven, Scarlet Heaven rain. After he defeated the heavenly cloud realm that day, he tried to fuse the rain art together. However, he could not even fuse the 2 types of rain art together. At that time, his rain intent realm was at the 8th grade. Today, he was displaying 3 types of rain arts at the same time, but they showed signs of fusing easily. Because of this, Ning Fan's rain intent was already at the peak of the 4th grade rain intent. It was just a tiny bit away from breaking through to the 3rd grade rain intent. The 3rd grade rain intent can fuse with the 3 styles of the rain technique. As long as I break through to the 3rd grade rain intent, I will be able to fuse with the rain from the previous 3 days. Ning Fan had already consumed enough tree god fruits. All he needed now was an opportunity to break through to the 3rd grade rain intent. With a flash, he left the Yuan Yao world and appeared on the Azure Heavenly Arc in the outside world. 3 days had passed in the outside world. The Azure Heavenly Arc was already approaching the Azure Cold Country. Ning Fan walked out of the cabin step by step and felt the continuous rain intent on the arc. It was greatly beneficial for him to break through the bottleneck of the rain intent. The Azure Heavenly Arc had been drenched by the rain for thousands of times. Therefore, a trace of rain intent that could not be erased was left on it. This rain intent matched Ning Fan's current mood. He fell into a mysterious state of Dao comprehension. Qing Dai and Ting Xianro could tell that Ning Fan was comprehending something, and they did not dare to disturb him. He looked at the distant Azure Cold Country. He looked at the drifting clouds in the sky and the sea of pine trees that stretched across the land. He looked at the grand formation of the Azure Cold Country and the cultivators who were coming and going. Eventually, his eyes fell on the Azure Heavenly Arkansas. His mouth was repeatedly chanting the heart chant of the heaven-peaking rain. There is rain in the 9 heavens. My thoughts are connected to this world. The clouds are my eyes and the rain is my thoughts. Outside the grand formation, cultivators of the Azure Cold Country were coming and going. In front of the Azure Heavenly Arc, there were 3 gigantic ships waiting for inspection to enter the Azure Cold Country. The Azure Heavenly Arc was right behind them. The 3 ships had the same clan insignia on them. It was a cedar tree insignia. All the cultivators on the ships belonged to the Cedar clan of the Azure Cold Country. Qing Dai stopped the Azure Heavenly Ark from moving forward and ordered it to hover behind the 3 ships. Her eyes inadvertently glanced around. When she saw the insignia on the 3 ships, she was stunned at first. Then, her face revealed a hint of resentment. These are the 3-masted ships of the Cedar clan. The country of Cold Azure was a void-rank cultivation country, and the Snow Pine clan was one of the 12 clans of Cold Azure. Each of the 12 clans of the Azure Cold Country had a void refinement realm expert. All of them were first-rate forces of the Azure Cold Country. Among the 12 clans of Cold Azure, there were 4 tree clans that had a grudge with the Nether Civ clan, and the Snow Pine clan was one of them. Qing Dai still remembered that 1,000 years ago when she was still young, the Cedar clan had once bullied and humiliated the Nethernet clan. At that time, she was not the High Priestess yet. The High Priestess was her mother. At that time, her mother was about to succeed in the Void Glimpse stage. On that day, when the Snow Pine clan heard that the Ming Luo clan was about to give birth to a Void Glimpse stage expert, a group of experts cruelly appeared in the Ming Luo clan. That day, her mother was besieged by the experts of the Cedar clan and eventually died in the hands of the young patriarch of the Cedar clan. The cultivators of the Snow Pine clan would never allow a void refinement cultivator to be born in the Nether Sift clan. They were very happy to see the decline of the Nether Civ clan. Qing Dai's eyes were filled with intense hatred. She clenched her fists so tightly that her long nails pierced into her palms, causing blood to gush out. She looked at the 3 cedar ships in front of her. Each of the 3 cedar ships was guarded by a void refinement realm expert. The young patriarch of the Cedar clan was standing on the bow of one of the ships. He was a silver-robed young man who gave off a cold, evil chi. Above his left eye, there were 3 magnificent silver demon stars flashing. This silver-robed young man's name was Ao Chin. His cultivation level was unrivaled among void inquiry stage experts. At the moment, he was fiddling with the bloody head of a dead man. It was the head of a void inquiry stage cultivator. The patriarch of the Golden Oak clan is a void inquiry stage expert after all. To think that he couldn't even withstand a single blow. I haven't even attacked him and he is already dead. How disappointing. The demon power in Ao Chen's palm vibrated, shattering the dead man's head into a mist of blood. His eyes suddenly turned sideways and caught a glimpse of Qing Dai's heavenly azure ship. His arrogant eyes scanned across Ning Fan and Ting Shenro. When he saw that both of them revealed their void inquiry stage cultivation level, he did not think much of them. However, when his eyes caught sight of Qing Dai, killing intent flashed across his eyes. This lady in green robes seems to be a Ming Luo tree demon? Interesting. Since when did the Ming Luo clan produce another Void Glimpse stage expert? The Ming Luo clan? As long as my Snow Pine clan is still around, your Ming Luo clan will never be able to rise again. 4th Elder, 5th Elder, the 2 of you go and kill this lady. As for the 2 Void Inquiry stage cultivators on the ship, they seem to be helpers hired by this lady. Most likely, they also have a deep relationship with the Ming Luo clan. Just kill them as well. Ao Chen waved his hand disapprovingly. 2 Void Inquiry stage old men immediately flew up from the other 2 ships towards the Heavenly Azure ship. Their killing intent locked onto Qing Dai and the others. These 2 people were none other than the 4th and 5th elders of the Snow Pine clan. Both of their cultivation levels were already close to the unrivaled Void Inquiry stage. To them, killing Void Glimpse stage experts and ordinary Void Inquiry stage experts was as easy as squashing ants. Especially when it came to squashing ants from the Ming Luo clan, the 2 of them did not feel reluctant at all. The Ming Luo clan and the Snow Pine clan were mortal enemies. There was no need for any reason to kill the members of the Ming Luo clan. Outside the Realm Locking Grand Formation, the cultivators who were in charge of inspecting the incoming cultivators were from the Qin Nen clan. The Qin Nen clan was also one of the 12 clans of the Cold Azure clan. Among this group of cultivators, the one with the highest cultivation level was a Void Pierce stage old man. He was the great elder of the Qin clan and his name was Qin Shuangzi. Even though the Qin clan did not have any grudges with the Ming Luo clan, they did not have any friendly relations with each other either. When Qin Shuangzi saw that the two Void Inquiry Stage elders of the Snow Pine clan already had killing intent towards Qing Dai, he sighed softly. However, he did not intend to help her. The Snow Pine clan is too powerful. They have a total of 3 absolute Void Inquiry Stage experts. It's not something our Qin clan can afford to offend. It's not worthwhile for me to offend the Snow Pine clan for the sake of a little girl from the Ming Luo clan. The 4th and 5th elders of the Snow Pine clan are both cultivators who are close to the unrivaled Void Inquiry Stage. With the 2 of them taking action, that little girl will certainly die. However, I wonder where the 2 Void Inquiry Stage cultivators beside that little girl come from. Are they helpers hired from other cultivation countries? When the Ming Luo clan was at its peak, it had offended too many forces. The Snow Pine clan is one of them. With just 2 Void Inquiry Stage experts, they are not a match for the Snow Pine clan. The Ming Luo clan has already declined and there's no possibility of it rising again. Qin Shuangzi closed his eyes indifferently. From his point of view, Qing Dai was just a Void Glimpse Stage cultivator. She would certainly die in the hands of the 2 elders of the Snow Pine clan. Teng Xianrou's beautiful eyes turned grim. She did not care about the grudges between the Ming Luo clan and the Snow Pine clan at all. Moreover, she did not have the intention to help Qing Dai. However, the 2 elders of the Snow Pine clan had crossed the line. They actually locked their killing intent on her as well. They were simply tired of living. Who was she? She was the dignified palace Lord Ziteng. She was a void fragmentation realm old monster. She was already feeling very aggrieved after falling into Ning Fan's hands. Just when she was in a bad mood, these 2 Void Inquiry Stage ants locked their killing intent on her. They were simply provoking her. She lifted one of her fingers. She had an impulse to activate 1,000,000 sword rays with a single finger and eliminate these 2 Void Inquiry Stage old men. Qing Dai's bright eyes were filled with extreme anger. The Snow Pine clan was too overbearing. Just because she was a member of the Ming Luo clan and a Void Refinement Realm cultivator, they could kill her without asking for a reason. It was just like how they killed her mother without asking for a reason in the past. The Snow Pine clan was too hateful. She formed a hand seal, preparing to activate the defensive grand formation of the Azure Sky ship to block the attacks of the 2 elders. After that, she would activate the 12 Void Spirit Cannons and kill these 2 Void Inquiry Stage old men. It was impossible for her to be bullied by the Snow Pine clan every single time. Qing Dai and Teng Xianrou were enraged. They wanted to counterattack the 2 elders of the Snow Pine clan. However, before the 2 of them could make their moves, Ning Fan took a step forward and stood in front of them. His eyes were filled with confusion as he looked at the 2 elders who were flying towards him. His eyes were filled with boundless rain intent. That rain intent was just a tiny bit away from breaking through to the 3rd grade. That tiny bit of difference was like a tiny crack. After he comprehended it bit by bit, it had already closed up bit by bit. He lowered his head. He did not look at the 2 elders but at the Azure Sky ship beneath his feet. He raised his head. Instead of looking at the 2 elders, he stared at the cloudless sky. His eyes glowed with cloudy light. Under his gaze, the sky immediately darkened. Dark clouds covered the sky and a dense drizzle fell. At this moment, his rain intent had broken through the bottleneck of the 3rd grade. After the rain intent reached the 3rd grade, its power increased tremendously. It was even more powerful than some mortal void magic techniques. 3rd grade rain intent. At this moment, a heavenly green rain intent floated in Ning Fan's eyes. Die! The 2 elders of the Snow Pine sect were already very close to them. Each of them stretched out their hands and grabbed at Ning Fan and the other 2. The 2 of them attacked at the same time. Immediately, 2 gigantic palms tens of thousands of feet long slammed towards the Azure Sky ship. The 2 of them were confident that their cultivation level was close to the unrivaled Void Inquiry stage. Thus, they did not put Ning Fan and the others in their eyes at all. At this moment, Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned cold. There was no longer any expression on his face. He didn't need to know about the enmity between the Cedar tribe and the underworld Civ tribe. He wouldn't ask. He did not need to know the background of these two Void Inquiry stage old men. He would not ask. He only needed to know one thing, and that was that his opponent had made a move against him. He had the intent to kill. As such, he didn't need to show mercy to these two people. He raised his hand and pointed his finger down. This finger didn't use any magic power, just the endless rain of the third grade. Third grade rain intent. It was one grade higher than the Rain Emperor's rain intent. Rumor has it that the Rain Emperor could kill a Void Glimpse stage cultivator with just his fourth grade rain intent. At this moment, the endless rain intent that Ning Fan made with his finger could even melt a Void Inquiry stage cultivator. The rain of heaven and earth seemed to be listening to Ning Fan's summon as it rolled towards the palms that the two elders threw out. As the drizzle brushed past, the two gigantic palms suddenly trembled. In just an instant, they strangely melted into the rain and disappeared without a trace. The fourth and fifth elders were stunned at first. They did not know what Ning Fan had done to block their palms in such a strange way. At the next moment, the drizzle that filled the sky drenched their bodies. Both of them immediately wore an extremely shocked expression. It was as if all of their magic power was going to be melted in this drizzle. It was as if their lifetime's worth of Tao was going to be buried in this drizzle. It was as if their lifetime's worth of cultivation was going to be lost in this drizzle. Impossible! How can this person's intent realm be so powerful? He can break our abilities just by using the power of his intent realm. This rain intent can't be resisted by force. We must immediately avoid it. Both of them were greatly shocked and hurriedly retreated, trying to escape from the curtain of rain. However, the rain intent had already been planted in their bodies. They could neither escape nor erase it. Every time they took a step back, they would melt a little. After taking tens of steps back, their physical bodies trembled and turned into two puddles of blood in the vast sky. Then they scattered along with the drizzle. This is the fourth grade rain intent. No, this is the third grade. Qin Shuangzi, who had been keeping her eyes closed all this while suddenly opened her eyes in shock. As for the young lord of the Snow Song sect, Aochin, who was watching calmly from the side, his eyes were filled with astonishment. He had seen some cultivators who possessed the rain intent realm, but he had never seen someone with such a strong rain intent realm like Ning Fan. There were only a few cultivators who possessed the third grade intent realm in the entire tree world. Who exactly is this man? How did the Ming Luo clan manage to invite such a powerful helper? Chapter 578. Ning Fan glanced sideways at Aochin, the young patriarch of the Shuesong clan. His eyes were filled with shock. At this moment, Ning Fan's eyes did not have a trace of baleful qi. Instead, they were as calm as still water. That calm gaze made Aochin's monster soul feel a sharp pain, as if all of its cultivation was about to melt in that gaze. Aochin did not know who Ning Fan was. The Vine Sovereign's wanted order had yet to reach the Eastern Tree Sea. However, he could clearly feel that Ning Fan's combat power was extremely terrifying. It was definitely not something that he could defeat. He was a Void Inquiry stage expert and Ning Fan was also a Void Inquiry stage expert. However, the difference between their strength was like heaven and earth. Aochin had never felt such a strong sense of crisis even when he was facing the three great Void ancestors of his race. He instinctively feared Ning Fan and nearly wanted to run for his life. But the pride of the Cedar clan made him unwilling to flee for his life. He, Aochin, was the dignified young clan leader of the Cedar clan while Ning Fan was just a helper hired by the Ming Luo clan of the declining Tree clan. He did not believe that Ning Fan would dare to kill him. Your abilities are extraordinary, but you've killed two elders of my Cedar clan. You must give my Cedar clan an explanation for this matter. Otherwise, the three great Void ancestors of our clan will come together. You will die no matter where you hide. Aochin forced himself to calm down as he stood at the bow of the ship amidst the drizzle. Then he threatened the Azure Sky ship in the distance. Qin Shuangzi, who was guarding the locking realm grand formation, sighed inwardly. He thought to himself that Ning Fan had killed the two elders of Xuesong sect without any hesitation and without asking about their background. Obviously, he was a devil lord who could do whatever he wanted. He would not be afraid of any threat or background at all. It was obvious that Ao Qin had already shed all pretense of cordiality with Ning Fan. Instead of running for his life as soon as possible, he dared to threaten Ning Fan here. He was just too stupid. If Ning Fan kills Ao Qin and flees 1,000 li away, he can just hide in a remote corner of the Eastern Tree Sea. Even if your Snow Pine clan has 3 old ancestors of the Great Void Stage, can they still find Ning Fan in the vast sea of people? This Ao Qin has a good aptitude, but his temperament is too bad. If he doesn't escape now, I'm afraid he won't have the chance to do so again. He'll die here for nothing. Just where did this kid come from? He's such a ruthless demon, and he even has a 3rd-grade concept. Even though his cultivation base is only at the Void Inquiry stage, he is definitely not a nobody in the Eastern Tree Sea. Why have I never heard of him before? Qin Shuangzi pondered. As Qin Shuangzi had expected, Ning Fan turned a deaf ear to Ao Qin's threat. His gaze, which was filled with the intent of rain, swept across the 3 ships of the Snowpine tribe, and he suddenly took a step forward. His body was surrounded by the cool and warm 3rd-grade rain intent. With a leap, he disappeared in the drizzle that filled the sky suddenly swept toward the 3 ships of the Cedar Pine race. The sky-blue rain intent spread out in the vast sky, as if it was being dyed by light ink. The rain was clearly extremely beautiful, but in the eyes of the cedar tree cultivators on the 3 ships, it was as if they had seen something terrifying. Countless cries of alarm came from the 2 ships that the 4th elder and the 5th elder were on. In the blink of an eye, they melted in the sky-blue rain, and the thousands of cultivators on the ships all turned into blood that sprayed into the sky. Not a single one escaped. Ao Qin hurriedly activated the ship's protective formation, temporarily blocking the melting rain from the sky. Looking at the sky-blue 3rd-grade rain intent, his scalp also felt numb. His heart was filled with shock and disbelief. Ning Fan was actually not afraid of the reputation of the Cedar Pine clan and actually dared to directly kill him, the young clan leader of the Cedar Pine clan. He is truly a lawless devil lord. If it weren't for him who activated the protective formation light, he would certainly have ended up like the 2 Void Inquiry stage elders, losing his life in the rain intent. Isn't he afraid of being hunted down by the 3 absolute Void stage experts? Isn't he afraid of offending the 12 clans of the Azure Cold clan? No matter how foolish Ao Qin was, he knew that he must run for his life at this moment. Set sail quickly. I want to return to the Cedar Valley immediately and ask the 3 old ancestors of the Absolute Void stage to kill this man. In reality, Ao Qin did not even need to give the order. When the cultivators of the Cedar Pine clan on the ship saw that the other 2 ships were completely annihilated, their scalps went numb. All of them were terrified of Ning Fan to the core. They did not dare to stay at this place for even a moment longer. They immediately activated the ship and flew at its fastest speed, hoping to pass through the country's sealing grand formation and escape to the Cedar Valley of the Azure Cold country as soon as possible. Ao Qin still knew how to run for his life at this moment. He was still not hopelessly stupid. Unfortunately, it was a little too late for him to think of running away now. Outside the country's sealing grand formation, Ning Fan slowly emerged amidst the light rain and wind. His entire body was surrounded by the azure rain intent. His eyes were indifferent as he stood in front of the ship. He would certainly not give it a chance to escape. He raised his hand and pointed at the ship. The vast azure rain intent swept towards the ship like a brush drawing in the sky. The formation light of the last cedar ship immediately dissolved in the rain. The hull of the ship began to melt. Each of the low-grade cultivators of the Cedar Pine clan melted into a pool of blood one after another. The azure rain intent turned into a huge hand and slammed down on Ao Qin. As the rain intent hit his face, Ao Qin felt that all of his demon power had melted under the rain intent. He could not summon any of his demon power at all. He wanted to fly away to avoid the attack of the rain intent, but he could not muster any strength. As soon as he moved, he was hit by the rain intent. At the moment he was hit by the palm, his body immediately turned into a pool of blood and melted under the attack of the third-grade rain intent. At this point, the 3 ships of the Cedar Pine clan were all annihilated by Ning Fan alone before they could enter the Azure Cold Country. With a flick of his sleeve, Ning Fan kept the rain intent and dispersed the drizzling rain. The sky cleared up again and a magnificent rainbow appeared in the vast sky. However, none of the cultivators of the Qin Nen clan who were guarding the Grand Formation had the mood to appreciate the rainbow. All of them had heavy hearts. Other than Qin Shuangzi, all the cultivators who were guarding the Grand Formation could not help but tremble. However, even Qin Shuangzi himself was filled with fear towards Ning Fan at this moment. There was even a hint of fear in him that he did not realize. Ning Fan returned to the Azure Sky Boat. The 3 ships that were waiting to enter the country had all been destroyed. Naturally, it was the Azure Sky Boat's turn to enter the country. Qin Shuangzi did not expect Ning Fan to still dare to enter the country after killing someone. It seemed like he was not afraid of the revenge of the Cedar Pine clan. He calmed himself down and led a few divine transformation realm cultivators of the Qin Nen clan to the sky. They landed on the Azure Sky Boat and cupped their fists at Ning Fan and the others politely. The Qin Nan clan and the Nether Luo clan never had any grudges against each other. Thus, Qin Shuangzi was naturally not afraid that Ning Fan would kill him. Moreover, in Qin Shuangzi's eyes, Ning Fan was just a void inquiry stage cultivator after all, even though he was strong. His third-grade rain intent was indeed powerful. However, it was only enough to kill a void inquiry stage expert. If it were a void peer stage expert, they would more or less have the means to withstand the attack of a third-grade rain intent. In Qin Shuangzi's eyes, Ning Fan, who possessed a third-grade rain intent, was probably strong enough to fight against a void peer stage expert. Of course, he did not know how terrifying Ning Fan's strength was when he went all out. He could even fight against Guiyuan Taishu. I am Qin Shuangzi, the great elder of the Qin Nen clan. I am in charge of guarding the Grand Formation of the country. Any cultivators who enter the country must go through my inspection. This old man would like to ask for your names and origins. Qin Shuangzi did not mention anything about the death of the cultivators of the Cedar Pine clan, as if he did not see it at all. Ning Fan secretly guessed that the Qin Nen clan should not have any grudges against the Ming Luo clan. After all, Qin Shuangzi had been watching from the side from the beginning to the end. He did not have the intention to get involved in the grudges between the Ming Luo clan and the Cedar Pine clan. I am the high priest of the Ming Luo clan. My name is Qing Dai. These two are friends of my clan. Qing Dai returned Qin Shuangzi's greeting. Her tone was polite, but she did not mention Ning Fan and Ting Xinrou's names and origins. She only said that they were friends of the Ming Luo clan. After all, Ning Fan was wanted by the Vine Sovereign. Qing Dai did not want to reveal Ning Fan's identity to avoid bringing more trouble to him. Seeing that Qing Dai did not mention the background of Ning Fan and the others, Qin Shuangzi did not ask too much. He asked a few more questions and let the Azure Sky vessel enter the country. From the beginning to the end, Qin Shuangzi had been treating himself as an outsider. He did not help either the Ming Luo clan or the Cedar Pine clan. However, at the moment when the Azure Sky vessel entered the territory of the country, Qin Shuangzi secretly transmitted his voice to Ning Fan and gave him a few pointers. You have killed 3 Void Refinement Realm experts of the Cedar Pine clan today. You have already offended the entire clan. Even though you are a Void Inquiry stage expert and your abilities are not weak, you are definitely not a match for the 3 Void Refinement Realm experts of the Cedar Pine clan. Among the 12 clans of the Blue Frost clan, the Wei Zi clan does not have any grudges with the Ming Luo clan, but they have a grudge against the Cedar Pine clan. If you are in trouble, you can seek help from the Wei Zi clan to resist the Cedar Pine clan. Based on the fact that you have killed 3 Void Refinement Realm experts of the Cedar Pine clan, I'm sure the Wei Zi clan will be very willing to befriend you. Qin Shuangzi's pointers were obviously to express his goodwill to Ning Fan. He was just giving Ning Fan a few pointers. There was no loss to him, but it might be of great help to Ning Fan. Naturally, Qin Shuangzi was very willing to form a good relationship with Ning Fan without paying any price. On the Azure Sky vessel, Ning Fan was slightly surprised when he heard Qin Shuangzi's voice transmission. However, he did not say anything. The Ming Luo clan was located in the eastern region of the Blue Frost country. The Azure Sky vessel flew towards the Ming Luo clan at full speed. Qing Dai returned the remaining 30 billion immortal jade to Ning Fan. During the 3 days when Ning Fan was comprehending the rain intent, she did not manage to purchase the remaining 12 types of void fragmentation realm puppet materials. Her expression was slightly complicated. She wanted to say something but stopped herself. She looked at Ning Fan and recalled the kindness he had shown her in the Tang Valley that day. She gritted her teeth and suddenly said, "Big Brother Lu, are you in a hurry to use these puppet materials?" "I am quite in a hurry. You know that I am being chased by the Vine Sovereign. These materials are all used to repair my puppets. If they can be repaired, I will have more power to protect myself." "Why are you asking this question?" "Perhaps. I have a way to get these 12 types of void fragmentation realm materials. As for how I am going to get them, please don't ask." Qing Dai gently bit her lips. She owed Ning Fan for saving her life. She always felt that she should repay him. Otherwise, she would feel uneasy. The materials that Ning Fan needed were too rare and precious. Even if she searched the entire Eastern Tree Sea, she might not be able to buy all of them. However, Qing Dai knew that there was a place where she might be able to find the materials needed to repair void fragmentation realm puppets. She had a master. Even though the puppet technique that she practiced was the secret technique of the Ming Luo clan, she would not be able to comprehend such a profound puppet technique without her master's guidance and guidance. Her puppet technique could be ranked among the top 3 in the Eastern Tree Sea. However, compared to her master, it was far inferior. Perhaps, her master would have the 12 types of materials needed to repair void fragmentation realm puppets. No, he definitely has them. She had once secretly seen that there were countless extremely rare and precious puppet materials in her master's treasure vault. However, her master had an eccentric personality. He never allowed her to reveal any information about herself. Therefore, she decided to look for her master secretly for Ning Fan's sake and ask for the materials needed to repair void fragmentation realm puppets. However, she did not dare to tell Ning Fan about her master's existence as she was afraid of angering him. "Big Brother Lu has saved my life and even helped me retrieve the corpses of the 10 void refinement realm ancestors of the Ming Luo clan. No matter what, I must repay this kindness." Qing Dai did not know that Ning Fan's mind-reading technique had already seen through all of her thoughts. This little girl actually has a strange master? Well, it's no wonder. If she doesn't have a master to guide her, it's impossible for her to have such a profound puppet technique. Since Qing Dai is confident that she can help me find the materials needed to repair my puppets, I suppose my Jihua and Purple Lightning puppets can be completely repaired soon. Once they are repaired, I can start to face my tribulation and break through to the Void Pierce stage. The corner of Ning Fan's lips curled upwards. The Void Pierce stage was already not far away. In the main hall of the Cedar clan in the Cedar Valley of the northern region of the Azure Cold Country, the 3 old ancestors of the Great Void stage of the Cedar clan were staring at the jade slip in their hands. Their eyes were bloodshot and they were gnashing their teeth in anger. The Ming Luo clan is really audacious. I don't know where they got 2 Void Inquiry stage experts to help them. They actually dared to kill the people of our Cedar clan. They are just courting death. Quickly inform the old ancestors of the Stone Tree clan, Lei Bai clan and Divine Qiao clan. Tell them that the Ming Luo clan is tired of living. Even that lord cannot be biased towards them anymore. Our 4 clans can mobilize all of our clans to massacre the Ming Luo clan. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.